Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the weekly steel chair for your Dynamite review. It is me, Reece, welcoming you all to another Dynamite show ahead. And of course, my phone hates me because it's on full blast. Hope you're all doing well. We're just gonna kick back, relax, just talk some wrestling. Because what else can you do apart from you could drink? Or you could just listen and listen some more and listen again, because that's what we are going to do. So if you are new to this channel, please do like, share and subscribe, because this is where the real is proud and involved. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, actually, we're going to review Dynamite. And we're going to ask the question, was it better than last week's show? Did it reflect what we want as a product? Is it a change for the better? And that is what we're going to find out tonight. So, as it's sitting at comfy -3 degrees, surprisingly freezing my balls off, we are going to get into this, and we're going to start off strong by saying, yes, Dynamite last night was better than last week's show. But not the way that you would think it was better. It's actually better because it was produced better. And I don't think many people are going to say that. When you look at last week's show, it didn't really seem like a new concept. It didn't seem like it was really going to take the product on. It was actually last week's show was just there. You know what I mean? It was just there. Like, I thought it was a good show, but it wasn't really the show I was looking for. I didn't review it last week because obviously I seen too many reviews and wasn't getting the review I wanted to hear. So this is the review you're going to get. And this is what I'm going to say first. This is your formula. You don't change this formula now. Last night's show is what they should have been doing for a long time. That's not me saying that the product is bad. That's not me saying that I wasn't impressed by what they were doing before. What I'm saying is last night is the correct format. What they actually produced last night was the perfect echelon of balance. Can they keep that up? That's the question. Will they keep that up? I certainly hope so. Like I said on Tuesday, after Raw, if you have a formula that you've got a method to it, you stick with it. But you've got to try and adapt it, evolve it, and improve it as you go on. If they cannot do it now, then when will they? So that's the mention of the other organization done in comparison. Now we're going to get to the business. So Dynamite. It starts with Will Ospreay versus, well, everyone's buddy, and what a start. Seriously, the pace on this match was great. Let that pace continue. My only thing is, was this match a sign of things to come? And not the way that perhaps it kind of reflects what I said before. If you watch the Wrestle Dynasty review show, I spoke about Brody King. And what I said about Brody King was maybe this year he goes solo. Because we don't know what the future of Malachi Black is. I think I kind of got that idea. I think it's a little bit different now. I think you're going to see Buddy and Brody be a tag team. Because I think it's certified now. I think the future is really written for Malachi Black. He is gone. Like, he's gone. I think it's a bit of an unfortunate waste. Speaking of good folks, what's up, James? Thank you for being here on Tuesday. You are one of Truth 338 live chat comments on the Monday Night Raw review. 338 live chat comments. It's sitting at 155 views currently, so I thank everyone for that. I thank everyone who participated as well. Shout out to The Shock, which was Mike Kyoda, for appearing on Twitch, for his participation. I really do appreciate it. We've got so much to get through, and we've got a massive year to do. Thanks, Rich. I appreciate it. Good seeing you. And it was what I was working on New Year's night. I spent I spent 3 hours on the PC doing this entire new background, fixing myself, improving my camera, getting the mic ready. I spent a good 3 hours doing this, and it's buzzing. Like, you know what I mean? It's the right way to do it, and I'm actually buzzing for it, and so I'm so grateful. Rich is just saying hello to James. Not a shot that Malachi Black is going. Real shame that it's not worked out. I agree. It is a shame that it's not worked out for him. They had the potential to use him. What's up, Matthew? How are you guys? If you are also in a different form of wrestling content where it's live watch-alongs, check out Graps TV. And speaking of that, Matthew, I know you weren't able to do the Raw review, but if you want to join me in this Dynamite review, then links are in the chat. For me, no, not really. I don't think so. I know that's obviously a question to James. I don't think it is. And I agree with this. Off topic, of course, I agree with this. Like I say, I thought the match on Dynamite between Will Ospreay and Buddy Murphy was a big reflection. It definitely wasn't a sign of we're just going to have Ospreay feud with the House of Black. No, it seemed to me that this was the writing on the wall match. This was the writing on the wall that if Buddy Murphy can hang with Will Ospreay, and he can get a good match from this and a good performance, then he's going to get a push, whether it be a singles push with his fellow teammate Brody King as just a legitimate tag team, or he gets a singles push in either the TNT Continental Classic or international title scenes, because I don't think Buddy Murphy is a certified world title contender. Not that that's a bad thing or it's a critique on him, it's just an honest critique in that way where he isn't world title main event. He's not that type of scene, but he can be a good mid-card champion if you buy into him. If you can put a title on Daniel Garcia, there's no way you can't put a title on Buddy Murphy. See, this is how we do it. And he will be tuning in from North Carolina. A little reference to tonight's show. And I was nearly at my storage limit, because I'm not buying 400 hours of storage. I'm sticking to the 200. But I spent a little bit of time before the show started just clearing some storage. So all my recordings from 2023 are gone. So I'm back under. I'm just over 93 hours of recording. So I've got 107 hours left of storage. I might end up buying the 400, to be honest, but that depends on what the aim is. I don't like the fact that there's a limit to. I don't like that there's a limit of storage space on here. I think you should have, if you're a content creator, you should just have space. The good thing is the recordings are deleted, but the videos aren't. So you'll still be able to view the videos live on the Weekly Steel Show. Playback. Agreed, Buddy Matthews is more ideal for TNT or Continental Classic push if he was to be pushed in singles competition. I would like to see Buddy Matthews be the one who takes the title of Daniel Garcia. I actually think it would be a good shout. And then maybe you have Buddy Matthews could represent on the, like, you could have him represent on one of the main product shows, because I think we all know that Takeshita's such a solid champion. I think Takeshita has to, or be Okada, they have to unify the Continental Classic and international titles with each other. I think theoretically you can make the Continental Classic just a tournament and the winner challenges for the World Championship instead of it being for a title. They should just unify the two titles into one. I don't know what you would call that title though, but I would certainly do it. I think it's a strong indication of where your product is going. They don't need all those titles. Not that it's a bad thing, it's just there's no need. There's a lot of titles being introduced at the minute across the globe, and I think you've just got to have a better placement. I think this is a question of choice. That's my opinion. But I would unify those together. I think when you look at the main scene, it's kind of certifying itself now for who's filling what role. And last night, Will Ospreay further cemented that he is a main event scene, whereas Buddy is a strong mid-card talent that can hang with main eventers. He can hang really well. Great match last night. His counters were spot on, apart from the crucial hidden blade at the very end. The back and forth were solid. There was one moment in the match actually that really stood out for me, and this is where I give props to Buddy for. It was the ever-present counter of the Os cutter on the apron. He didn't just counter him, but he tossed him like 15 yards. Like, he tossed him from the edge of the apron into the announce table, and the freakish strength of that man. Freakish strength. He is built like a brick, and he works harder than most. Like, he works really hard, and he deserves the credit. Will he get it though is the question. I'm not sure, but I think last night was a good telling point that this is a change from his direction. And unfortunately, with Malachi Black not being around, it means that you're losing one of your best talents. But maybe you can promote one talent to a new role that gives you a strong replacement. It's hard to tell, but we will certainly see. I, for one, like the strength of the booking position for Buddy if they get this right. I hope so. My only critique, and maybe this is just on Buddy, I don't know, but I think it was the wrong opponent, you know, for Will. Me personally, I don't think they kept saying this all night for certain matches. They kept saying for obviously we're going to review the match between Mark Briscoe and Bobby Lashley, but did you not notice on commentary they kept saying, "Oh, these matches stemmed from the Continental Classic"? I mean, obviously that's good that they're holding back to that, but they kept saying it goes back to this, and like negative tension came from this. Well, yeah, the negative tension came, but Buddy had nothing to do with Will Ospreay in the Continental Classic. Mark Briscoe had nothing to do with Bobby Lashley. You know, like it didn't add in a way. I think the tension certainly was there between other talents, but it wasn't between them. I think you need to tie that a little bit in the bud. That's my only criticism from that. Is it just didn't really seem fitting. He's also joined us right now as well. He's very fitting in his gear. He's looking chill with his goatee. So I'm going to add him in just a mo. I just want to quickly read this comment from James, which says, Black going back to WWE or maybe somewhere else. Wherever he does go, they need to get it right with him. I think he is going back to NXT. I'd like to get Matthew's opinion on it, and he's actually joined us now live from North Carolina. Hello, sir.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Right. I came in on the tail end of that. You wanted to get my reaction to Malachi Black?
I would actually. What's your opinion about it? I think he is going to go back to NXT, and I think he's going to win the NXT title as a mystery opponent. And I don't think that's a bad use of him, even though it can be a bit odd. I think it may be the right idea. Similar to what they did with Ethan Page, except they don't reveal until on the day. It's a mystery opponent. I'm not sure.
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't know. Based on what I've seen so far, and I realize that Malachi Black was at WWE before he went to AEW. Mm-hmm. But he's been gone long enough, and he's been in AEW long enough that I think he'll wind up getting the Julia. I'm sorry, I have to keep calling him by what everybody else says. Julia and Steph treatment right now. I mean, everybody was like, "You lose, we win. We got Julia, we got Stephanie, we got Delta. Look at this. We're going to be so stacked." And they won, and everybody's like, F Julia, F Stephanie, you know, the whole thing, you know. I think he'll get in there, and they'll probably try to get that ROI out of him real quick, and then the fans are going to go, whoa, wait a minute. We just wanted him as a side piece. We didn't want him with titles or nothing like that. No.
I agree. But as a reflection of what they do with him. What did you make of the whole projection of the match, though? Obviously, I know you were tuned in, so I do appreciate it. And obviously, your watch-alongs have been incredible. Do check out his channel, Graps TV, guys, by the way. It's really good watch-along content, especially that Wrestle Dynasty review. That is insane commitment.
Wrestle that was insane. What did I think about the Buddy and Will Ospreay match?
Yeah, just because obviously I said that I thought it was a projection that because they seemed sure that the Malachi is on the way out, that this match was just a proven point for Buddy, whether it be with Brody as a tag or it's him single in the mid title scene. But it was still a good showing.
Well, I am two thoughts on that. Number one, the match was fantastic. I mean, there was not a bad spot in it at all. Nobody missed their marks, which is amazing for that, considering they hadn't wrestled before. Well, they might have wrestled before. Didn't they wrestle before a while back?
I think they may have done at one point, yeah.
Yeah, I think they wrestled once. And of course, this right here, considering they hadn't had any work together or anything like that, the match was phenomenal. Now, part of what I talk about a lot is what Tony does with his book, with his pencil.
Yes.
And I think Tony was getting ahead of, all right, Malachi, if you want to jump ship, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and burn you on television. And I really honestly think there's been some stuff going on backstage between the two parties, not necessarily directly between Malachi and Tony. But I figured Tony got a heads up, hey, Malachi's probably going to jump. He's like, all right, well, I'll just go ahead and burn him tonight. And I think that signals a new Tony more than anything in the world, because, you know, when Ray Phoenix and Penta were going through their stuff, Tony didn't write them off television or write up a scenario that was going to bury them or anything like that. Malachi Black shows up. He's like, oh, okay. We'll go out there and tell Buddy in front of God and everybody that you think he's going to be a great singles wrestler and they can be tag team champions. Screw the House of Black. You know. So I think Tony is starting to edge into being more of a boss, and I think that was the introduction of Tony the Boss to the world. And I'm waiting to see the reflection from that statement, because I know when he made that statement, I was like, Malachi Black's not going anywhere. He's got 2 more years left on his deal. And, you know, then today, doing my own research, I'm like, oh, those were optional years, and we don't even know if they got picked up yet. So, I mean, chances are they didn't get picked up. He's packing him up on live television now. He's like, all right, I did the best I could. I gave you Copeland. And that match right there would have made Malachi.
Absolutely.
But I don't think they pulled the trigger on it because of something going on backstage. That's the only explanation for letting Edge go over, because obviously the ref knew. You had to know when you break a bone or something like that. I mean, that had to be a conversation between him and the ref probably was just like, all right, he's got a broke leg. What do we do? Put him over anyway. You know?
No, I agree. I agree. I think I also have another skeptical point as well. And obviously, when it comes to talent, I don't like obviously tribalism is everywhere. But I don't like tribalism when it's certain conversations. So, like, one thing I don't like seeing is no matter where a talent goes, I don't want to hear the words, oh, I miss watching this person. You know what I mean? Like, I hate when fans do that. Like, I've seen TNA fans after AJ Styles left saying, I miss TNA. And I responded well saying, well, go watch him in New Japan then. Go watch him in Ring of Honor. Or go and watch him when he's in WWE. Like, it's still AJ Styles. The guy's not dead. You know what I mean? Same conversation with like Mercedes Moné after she left WWE. She left WWE, Sasha Banks, she went to Japan as her own name, did all that. Why do people have to do that discourse? If Malachi Black goes back to WWE, I'm not going to say the words, I miss Malachi Black. I'm not going to say that, because I think that's stupid. What I'm going to say is, I miss seeing him work a different way. But what I like, though, is the fact that at least these talents have places to go. And I like that they're, no matter the position they're doing, they're betting on themselves. And it seems to be a discourse where, oh, they're gone. Yeah, if a talent goes to WWE, or they go to AEW, or they decide to do the indie scene like Matt Cardona, or they go to Japan, who cares? Let them go. Like, end of the day, we're supposed to just be fans of the product and fans of the talent. We shouldn't be dictating what they do with their lives. I hate that discourse. It's constant. You know what I mean? Like James is saying the same thing. Like, that winds me up to comments like that whenever certain wrestlers are promotion. Like, obviously, I think talent may be used differently in a different promotion that I might like better. and that's actually a thing that's okay to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to miss X, Y, Z because they've gone to a different promotion. It seems too. It seems kind of pathetic, and it kind of is disparaging to the talent as well. Because I've seen talent as well. I've picked that up a lot as well. Like a lot of talent have been in interviews recently, and they've said, "Oh, X, Y, Z fan base has said they've missed seeing you," and they respond saying, "Well, you can find me here," and then X said person will then respond to that comment, and they'll go, "I don't know who that person is now." I'm like, you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like that'd be like that'd be like a WWE fan in the 90s when Bret Hart jumped ship and they go, "I don't know who Bret Hart is now because he's went to WCW." Stop lying. If Shawn Michaels had went to WCW during the 90s, you still would have said, "Who's Shawn Michaels?" You would still be watching Shawn Michaels on Nitro. You know, like the sheer cheek of people like that. What are your takes on those, by the way? Because I know you've seen these yourself as your watch-alongs. People have made stupid comments like that. So.
Oh yeah, they do it all the time, and you know I do it every once in a while, but only to other podcasters who put out bullshit takes, like one that Eric Bischoff just dropped about 2 hours ago, talking about, well, you know, there's 2.5 people in every home, so that 2.6 million number is probably closer to 6. And I'm like, you know what? You can't drag grandma and grandpa down to the basement, son. What are you talking about?
Reply.
I mean, you can't drag grandma and grandpa down to the basement. Besides, it's cold and musty down there. They'll get sick and die. So no, I doubt it. But I mean, there is tribalism on both sides. I think AEW tribalists are a little bit more comical than the WWE ones, or maybe I've just seen a lot more WWE than I have AEW. I don't know. But all of this assumes, and no offense here, but all of this assumes that he's actually going to WWE.
If he does, though.
Yeah, I mean, but
fair play. If he does go, then if he does go back to WWE, fair play to him.
I mean, everybody's running with this notion of he's Malachi Black, he's going to WWE. I don't know how to break this to everybody, but being indie-rific now pays. I mean, you know, everybody makes that comment, oh, he'll just go be indie-rific. Yeah, have you seen Matt Cardona's house? And it damn sure ain't Chelsea Green's paycheck.
Sure, he makes a fuckload of money.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, have you seen Matt Cardona's house? And he's paying for most of it because Chelsea's only drawing 250 plus merch. No, she's drawing 150 plus merch.
Considering her talent, her ability, she deserves more than that.
Of course she does.
It's mental that she doesn't break that.
So, I mean, obviously they're not pulling that kind of palatial estate off of 150. I mean, merch sales are probably cool and all that, but by the time Uncle gets a hold of their part, and I don't know how Canadian Uncle is, but U.S. Uncle is pretty hands-on with taking your money. And but by the time Uncle gets a hold of their part of it, but by the time WWE gets a hold of their half of it, just to start off with.
Taxman, people, if you're wondering what he means the taxman.
Yeah, I mean, so by the time they get a hold of all that money, I mean, there's not really much there.
Yeah.
When it's all said, not to that extent. So, I mean, everybody assumes that just because Malachi Black's leaving AEW, if he actually is, this could all be a work too. You never know.
That's also a good point. If he does go, though, I honestly wish him more success than he had in his first NXT run.
I wish all of them more success than they had in their first runs. That's why they're there.
I thought his first run was good. To be fair, like he was one of probably the rare few that you got to see actually work the way they like, and they actually allowed other talent to work really well with them. I think that's something that he's the type of talent who will work with anybody and he'll respect their work.
Yeah,
I think he's like. Yeah. And I do like that, and I think that's also an indication that Buddy, since Buddy joined the House of Black, like that feeds off him. So I think that's why I would give him a really strong push. I like Buddy. I think he's a genuinely good talent, and I think the only thing that he got wrong, I think the only thing that WWE did wrong with him, because I don't think Buddy Murphy. I don't think he had a bad run in WWE at all.
Right.
I think the only thing that went wrong for him was that association with Rollins and the Mysterio angle.
Mhm.
I don't think that fit him at all. I think it's just at the time it made no sense. But he was still putting the work in. And I'll credit any fan with a bad angle to still work. He worked really hard. So there's been really bad angles in AEW, and people think that we won't say that. But there has been a lot of bad. But there's been a lot of bad angles. Buddy's been in a few of them. He's been in a few bad angles.
On now. I mean, the learning tree is shit.
Exactly. But if you stuck Buddy in that, he would shine. Weirdly, he would shine in that angle. Because he gets on with it. Thankfully, there was no learning tree tonight, so we're all safe from that bullshit. But
we think.
I know. We got Big Bill mentioned, but we all commit suicide when Big Bill doesn't get to work.
Yeah, and now just a reminder that Collision is going to be a showcase for the learning tree versus FTR. Yeah, rated FTR.
We should call it the show that. That's what it should be now. We should just call Collision like the learning tree show.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is, and that's one of the. And I thought when they got rid of Dude that this crap would go away, but Jimmy Jacobs. When they got rid of Jimmy Jacobs, I thought this crap would go away, but it just seems like they're doubling down on it, and I'm like,
yeah.
You know, Tony, of all the angles that could go away right now and I wouldn't lose sleep over it, the learning tree's like right at the top of that list.
It is one of them. I have another one that I'd like to ask you about later on, which is going to be very, very interesting. We did get a segment from Private Party following this. And now, as a tag team, I like Private Party.
I do too.
But they can't talk for shit.
No, they can't.
They I know I'm very critical at times about people who can't wrestle, but I'm more critical on people who can't talk, and that's because I know obviously a lot of people like their talking segments. I like a good blend. I like the wrestling. I like the wrestling and the actual conversation to be done. The promos. I think Private Party are a really bad promo, and it kind of summed it up when MVP and the Hurt Syndicate came out, because they schooled them in 30 seconds. It didn't even take long. There's actually a very strong... Obviously, I can't put the actual video on screen, but if anyone's watching this, you can go and watch wrestling, and it's on there. It's about, I think it's about 18, 19 minutes in to the actual episode. There's a part where after the Hurt Syndicate have just schooled them, and all you see is Private Party standing like this. They're dumbfounded. They're completely dumbfounded. They don't know what to do. And I'm saying this right now. They need to take the titles off them at Revolution. I'm sorry if you're a OG AEW fan.
No.
I think you've got to take off them. I'm an OG Dynamite. I've watched since the beginning. I've watched AEW since the beginning. I've wanted Private Party to get their moment. I'm happy they got it. After that promo, they need to put the tag belts on Benjamin and on Lashley, or someone else. But they need to put the titles on them.
Or Black and Murphy.
Or Black Murphy, or Leo Rush and Action Andretti. They need to. And even James agrees. He says they're a very good tag team, in ring very talented, but the promo is the real issue. Unless you put a mouthpiece on them, you can't save them. I think. I don't know who you put with them. There isn't anyone, because you can't put MVP with them because they're babyface.
Stokely Hathaway.
Would you put him with them? I don't know.
They got to put him somewhere, and he can talk. I mean, he can talk, and he's stupid. So,
that's
it kind of fits into the whole Private Party getting drunk, getting stupid. If you got a stupid manager, but the funeral service for Private Party's run will probably be Revolution. I mean, the funeral was announced last night, and I'm not even sure that they don't pull the trigger at the Grand Slam, to be honest with you.
I think they should let them have a chance to redeem themselves. I would give them the chance. If they cannot redeem themselves between now and after February 14th, then take the titles off them.
Yeah, and that is unfortunate because you had 5 years to work. You had 5 years. I mean, I don't know how they have it overseas. I don't pretend to know. But here, there's a community college on every corner. And in those community colleges is a course on public speaking.
You get levels of courses here, and you can learn like that types of things. But it's not real. You've got to have a certain knack for it. You know, like that talent. Like they have it.
No, I don't know that they don't have it. That's just it. I mean, when I first started years ago, this is when I was in college, somebody told me I needed to go take public speaking courses. And I was like, okay. And believe it or not, I had never done any of that.
Yeah.
And then after finishing the course, I picked up a job in radio and ran from there. But I'd never done public speaking. I'd never more than hi, how's it going? That was pretty much it for me. And that's what I'm trying to say. See, in the United States, we have a community college on every street corner for a couple $100. There are people in there that will train you at least to sound reasonable. You may not.
Yeah.
You're not going to come out of it the Rock, but you're going to come out of it with a good visible presence. And they had 5 years to do that. I would love to have some kind of sympathy for that, but I don't, because it's just readily available. It's out there. It's not, and you're a known professional wrestler. So
I agree. And I think James is spot on here as well when he said when Matt was with them, when Matt Hardy specifically was with them, he was doing the talking. Matt Hardy, for all his losses of movement and ability in the ring, his promo skills are still good.
Oh yeah,
he's an underrated promo, and James agrees with us. They should drop the tag titles. What did you think of the match, by the way, between Mark Briscoe and Bobby Lashley? I thought they had one fatal flaw from a decent match. It seemed too not in a disgrace to Mark Briscoe. He's a successful tag team champion. But my criticism from this match, even though it was good, good to an extent, they let him have far too much offense. If you're trying to present Bobby Lashley in one way, you can't be letting him take so much damage. Not that he shouldn't. I'm not saying in that way, but let's be real. Bobby Lashley shouldn't be eating that elbow drop.
Except, let me throw something out there for you. Tony owns Ring of Honor.
He does.
And you can't have your Ring of Honor champion getting dominated by the new dude that just showed up a couple of months ago. It's just absolutely dominated. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying. Some of the offense he shouldn't have been able to get off on, but the reality of it is you can't make your former, how many time Ring of Honor champion at this point? Like 2-3 time Ring of Honor champion just get squashed. Get squashed. You got to let him have some offense. Otherwise, the title means nothing. Not that it means a whole lot hanging around Chris Jericho's waist right now either. But it means even less when your most dominant champion just got the hell beat out of it.
It's certainly a good showing for Briscoe as well, that you can still get a good match from him for out of anyone. And I think that's something that I'll be happy with. The only reason why I think it was too much offense is because I think the way they're looking to build Bobby Lashley, I think right now he should have maybe destroyed Briscoe in lesser time, but the bonus is the return match would have felt like a strength. I feel like they would have done a rematch and a lot more to it. But I also like the way that he's changed his entire game now. I like the fact that the spear isn't a finish anymore. Not that it should be. But I like the fact that now he uses the spear as that premeditated right. I don't want to pin you anymore. You're just getting submitted.
Yeah, and the other thing too is one of the parts that you kind of had to catch up to is the talking segment for Bobby Lashley in that little private party thing right there was horrible. Yeah. Whoever decided to let him open his mouth at that point in time, that was the only thing that bailed Private Party out, is that he was a worse talker than they were.
I've never thought of him as a good mic worker.
and then MVP had to jump in there and try to clean it all up. But still, I mean, then that probably worked well into the match, with Mark Briscoe being able to get a little bit over on him. I don't think they could have that match again and have it go that way. I think if they had that match again, it'd probably be a squash. But this is one of those, you're the Ring of Honor champion. I'm not going to squash you night one, but I will squash you down the road.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a lot of what you saw there. I wasn't a big fan of the match. The match really didn't do anything for me, even though I'm talking them up. A lot of times I talk matches up that I don't like because I try to give it a fan perspective instead of an analytical perspective.
I think that's fair. I'm the same.
Yeah, and that's why I don't do much WWE anymore, because they've worn out all their goodwill with me. I've tried to do it from a fan perspective, but their goodwill is like it's threadbare at this point. And I made an announcement this past week. I'm not doing it for a while. I need to build up goodwill again with them,
Yeah.
But I mean, that particular match right there did absolutely nothing for me. It probably could have been on a Collision card, and I would have caught it there. Dynamite has an obligation at this point in time to keep a foot on the pedal. And
I agree.
And I think that there was a lot of stuff that happened during the course of the night, this being one of them, that just didn't make it feel like, to me, it felt like a cruise control match when I needed them to burn through.
Yeah, I would have changed it a bit. I 100% would have swapped Lashley for Benjamin, and I would have gave him a different opponent. I think they missed a big trick. I do agree with this comment about him. Lashley's like Brock Lesnar in a way if he's in ring, 100%. But I think Brock Lesnar is fundamentally a better promo than Lashley as well. I think he's actually a better promo. He doesn't get enough credit for it because for most of his career, he was just the guy who done the damage. I would have gave Shelton Benjamin a different match, and I think, weirdly enough as well, I don't understand this. They had one guy in the Casino Gauntlet we're going to talk about shortly that was in the Gauntlet that shouldn't have been in there in the first place.
Right.
I would have gave Shelton Benjamin the match with Roderick Strong. Not that I don't think Roderick Strong was bad, but after he hit the backbreakers, he did nothing after
right.
that. And I would have had that feud start, the Hurt Syndicate and the Conglomeration, or like / Undisputed, whatever the heck it's called now. I think it's there for the taking. The Hurt Syndicate have got to go through all these factions if they want to take control, as they claim they're taking over. They should have started with Shelton Benjamin saying, well, we've got to go after Roderick Strong because he is the biggest threat in that group. Did they? No. They might get it at some point, but I think the start could have been on that show last night. Would you agree, or do you disagree, or is there anything else you would have done?
Now, this is my one criticism with AEW right now, and it is a very solid criticism.
Yeah.
That's the most confused booking I've seen so far. And I just think what winds up happening is, because it is confusing, Roderick Strong and that whole group there, I mean, you've got Kyle O'Reilly running in there, but now they've got him coming out as a collider or whatever the crap that thing was that he's in. But is he there?
The conglomeration.
I mentally block that word out every time.
It's just crap.
It's cringe. But you've got you don't know if Kyle O'Reilly's in the conglomeration or is he running around with Roderick Strong. And then when they all hit the ring, that's what screwed that match up, is the fact that they had all of them in the ring at the same time. Now, if Kyle O'Reilly hadn't come down for that match, the match would have been fine. But the minute he came down there and started working with them, and he's supposed to, and they introed him as in the conglomeration. And last week he said, no, I'm not in the conglomeration. I'm over here. I mean, fans have got to be sitting there going, all right, who the hell is this? And what the hell is he getting ready to do?
Exactly. And you know what's weird? From all the podcasters that I think that are good, not very many of them have actually thought about that. You know what I mean? Like, there's some that are genuinely crap and they thought about that. And I'm like, how are these guys thinking about this?
Yeah, but, I mean, and
that yourself went straight to the point.
As far as I'm concerned, that killed the Gauntlet right there. I mean, there was a lot they could have done with the match. I know we're probably not there yet, but that was the one thing that was on my mind, was that Kyle O'Reilly drop right there screwed the whole match up.
We did have segments before that. we did have a few segments before the Casino Gauntlet, and long story short, I wasn't too keen on the promo segments. I think only one. I only found one promo segment. Actually, no, scrap that. I think only two of the promo segments stood out that night, and they were after the Gauntlet. The segments before the Gauntlet were genuinely terrible.
Yes, they were.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. After the Gauntlet, we had Copeland, we had Omega, and we had Jeff Jarrett segments. All after. Before that, we had.
Now, not all the segments were garbage, because we had Harley Cameron in one of them. And she saved that segment completely.
I agree.
I can't imagine how many. I'm with Mr. Starks on that one. I'm not exactly sure how many takes they have to run through to get a take with Harley Cameron, but it's probably several. Because she's a natural, and if they let her go on out there and do what she can do, that would elevate the company bigger than anything in the world. And that's not simping, that's real. When she gets on the mic, the viewership spikes. So I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, a lot of the segments last night were awkward, clunky, but that's kind of the formula of the show. Yeah. And the part of it is sometimes they go a little bit geek with it, and that's what I think we saw a lot of last night. But yeah, that going into the golly, I'm having a brain fart here. Going into the Gauntlet match, everything leading up to the Gauntlet match, and on top of all that, we got a really good Ricochet swerve out of the whole thing that got screwed up by that.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that's got to be the swerve of the year right there. Unless somebody else can think of anything better, I can't. Because everybody was getting ready to go Swerve's house, and the minute you were getting ready to go Swerve's house, is there Ricochet? I'm like, what the hell?
I like the fact as well during his entrance. I don't know if you noticed it, but in the entrance, he actually in his theme song, he now has that laugh now, that laugh that he has. I actually find that's clever. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's an indication of someone who's actually fully tapping into what he's expected to do. Now, I called out Ricochet before I went to All In. When Ricochet was announced that he was leaving WWE and he was potentially leaving AEW, I called out Ricochet like a motherfucker. Because I was like, I like Ricochet, but I found his babyface run boring as fuck. And what summed him up was that segment he had on Raw several years ago with Drew McIntyre when he said he's not here to talk. And then Drew said, well, just shut up. We all know he's there to fight. We all know that. Right. But even just to talk these guys down or try to talk in a way that he is going to spark or maybe cause a shock. The minute he said that, he was done, and I couldn't take him seriously after that. His Intercontinental title run, I was begging for that to be over quickly because it didn't work. Like, his NXT run was phenomenal. I think his NXT run was genuinely phenomenal. His matches with Adam Cole were highlights of that entire NXT organization.
Right.
It was one of the rare limelights where it was actually great. And I think after that, when he went to the main roster, it wasn't the same anymore. It didn't feel right, and he's not had a character change. He's always been just that limelight character who sits about and just does high-flying moves, and you don't get a sense of purpose. But ever since he turned heel, he's really impressed me. He's really changed, and going over to Japan when he did the attack on Zack Sabre Jr., fantastic. Coming back over here, attacking Swerve with the Golden Scissors last week, which was a shock and a half. I didn't expect that at all. I thought that was fantastic.
The amount of research that he put into that segment last week, because that's not an accident. That segment wasn't an accident. There's a lot of things going on there. Asheville traditionally is Duke country, and for those of y'all who are familiar with North Carolina, there are two teams in North Carolina. That is Duke and North Carolina. There are no other teams. Everybody else goes and does their own thing. Okay, Asheville is traditionally Duke territory. He showed up in a Carolina blue suit and did that shit.
I was going to say, was the color an indication? Because I'm not really familiar with those two, so I wasn't sure. Is that college football?
It's football and actually basketball is our big rivalry between Carolina and Duke. Just getting into football right now, but the Carolina-Duke rivalry at one point in time was the #1 rivalry in the country across all sports.
Oh, was
that's it? That's how deep it is. The college rivalry runs about 142 years.
Jesus Christ, I had no idea.
Yeah, no, it's real deep. It's real deep. So when he showed up in Asheville in a Carolina blue suit and sliced up Swerve like that, that was genius. That was absolute genius. I don't know if that was an accident. I don't think it was an accident because nobody shows up in Carolina blue because somebody would have said that's a bad idea. You know? Yeah, it's something like that.
Fair. That's all right. Fair enough. That's fine with me. One thing I did like from last week's segment, I don't know if obviously yourself or Kobe on TV or even Catherine have even mentioned. I don't know because I've been so exhausted from wrestling recently that I've just fell asleep. I just have got the energy at times. That's because of my back. But I watched these guys last night and I did. I don't know if anyone really mentioned about last week, but I know that Ricochet got a lot of skeptical comments because he retweeted a tweet from Andrew Tate. Now, I've always thought and I think that guy is an absolute clown and a plonker. I think he is an absolute weirdo. But all of a sudden, it seems as if Ricochet kind of channeled that Andrew Tate type look. You know what I mean? Like, he's always smartly dressed. He's, well, apart from right now when he looks like, as you guys would call it, he looks like a bum. But he's always like sharp dressed and he's always looked tailor-made, on point. Ricochet looked kind of like that, weirdly enough, and he tapped into the cynicism. In this match, the Gauntlet, it kind of added that, because when you look at the entries of the match, Ricochet came in at the right time, the right spot, following Wheeler Yuta, who was arguably the right entrant. If you think about everybody in this match, Wheeler Yuta is actually the one that does the most important thing in the entire match, except from Powerhouse Hobbs, who gets the win. Wheeler Yuta arguably does what the world champion has asked him to do. He's taken out the actual threat. Now, the likes of Jay, obviously, when you look at the entries, everybody, like, the match starts with Jay White and Hangman. Great start. You're continuing a feud. That is, if you're going to praise it in WWE, you've got to praise it in AEW. If you're doing these kinds of matches, you've got to start with a strong feud in these matches. You've got to start with that. Those two are having a great feud right now, so it's great they've maintained that. Wheeler Yuta comes out third. Ricochet, the order gets a little bit wrong here, but Adam Cole comes out. You've got Daniel Garcia, shoot us all. You've got Powerhouse Hobbs, fantastic. Roderick Strong, excellent. Lance Archer, Kyle O'Reilly, who we said was a bloody mistake. And then, obviously, the last entrant is Jeff Jarrett. And the first thing that Wheeler Yuta does, he goes after him. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Like, that was actually perfect. Now, nobody wants to see Jeff Jarrett win the world title, by the way.
That's correct.
If he gets a world title match, though, it will actually be good, because one thing Jeff Jarrett can do is he will sell that like a bitch. And he'll actually promote it well. But nobody really wants to see him be world champion. But you really want to act. The one good thing, but what you want to see though is you actually want to see Jeff Jarrett actually make the effort. Because when he makes the effort, you see what he is capable of, despite his age. That's what I like about it, and I liked as well. Obviously, we're going to talk about his segment soon after, because his segment, in my opinion, was the second best segment on the show. In my opinion, anyway. I think it was, from the men's side, I think it was the second best segment on the show. Anyone can disagree with that. I'm okay with that. That's fine. But I would have changed some of the entrants in this match. Number one, even though I like him, Lance Archer, I would have swapped him out.
Stayed home. He could have stayed home.
I would have had Brian Cage in the match, because I think even though he gets what happens at the very end of the show, I still would have liked him in this match anyway, because he would have been a big opponent for Hobbs than Lance Archer was. Secondly, Kyle O'Reilly, we've already spoken about. I would have shipped him off.
Mm-hmm.
And 100% Daniel Garcia. I'm sorry, but
yeah, no, he has no business on my TV.
So out of those three, I've said Brian Cage. The other one I probably would have put in is Swerve. Is there anyone else who you would have put in this match? I don't think this match would have needed someone like Okada. I'm surprised Copeland didn't try to put himself in this match. But is there anyone that you would have put in here?
I think I would have put people in there that you haven't seen in a while just to throw a swerve. If they were going to put the opportunity on Hobbs, and that was predetermined before they went out there.
Yeah,
I would have liked to have seen like this would have been a good spot to stick Hologram back in. This would have been a good spot. Hologram's coming back. Yeah. Now, walk with me on this. Walk with me.
No, I agree. I can't remember the last time I saw Hologram.
It's been a while. His wife just had a baby on December 26th, so he's going to be back any time now. I would have stuck Hologram in there. I would have actually stuck Sammy Guevara in there. I would have stuck Sammy Guevara. I would have stuck Sammy Guevara in there. I would have stuck a whole lot of up and coming right now current mid carders.
Big Man James is in agreement with you. You know who else I would have stuck in there as well as a mad one. This would have been, because I know he spoke about it recently in an interview. I would have put Scorpio Sky in this match.
I thought about that one, but the one that I really, really thought about, and I'm trying, my brain is frying here. He wrestled Kenny Omega over here this weekend. I've been up too long doing wrestling, so my brain's fried.
Oh, are you talking from Wrestle Dynasty?
Yeah, from Wrestle Dynasty.
Gabe Kidd.
Gabe Kidd. Because Gabe Kidd's worked with Ring of Honor a lot. So on the way out of Wrestle Dynasty, I would have just wink, wink, nod, nodded and said, hey, you want to work one night for Dynamite? And I would have brought his mad ass out there. I'd have brought his mad ass out there. That would have been something the fans wouldn't have been able to handle.
Absolutely not. They would have really struggled to keep up with him. He was incredible.
He's an incredible guy. He's an incredible guy in the ring. And contrary to what other people may say about it, I like his promo work.
We know you're trolling, Catherine. We know you're trolling.
Yeah, it needed Orange Cassidy. I mean, we stuck him in every damn thing else. Why not?
It was good. It was actually good, though. I believe this was the first Dynamite in God knows how long where Orange Cassidy hasn't been on the show.
It's not the first one, but it's definitely one of his misses. His misses are very few and far between. Yeah, because I think I could have done without Orange Cassidy pretty simply. I'm not a big fan. I know Catherine is. I'm not.
Yeah, she loves the jeans.
Yeah, Jalistico would have worked.
Good shout.
We could have got Hechicero in there. He was in Japan with some of these guys, and they're already heading this way for the weekend show out in California. Be like, hey, man.
Valley. You know what else actually would have been good for this one?
Yeah.
Rush.
Now, I think CMLL, and this is my own private take, but I'll go ahead and say this right now.
Go for it.
I think CMLL and Tony Khan are at odds right now. Over what, I have no clue. But I think they're at odds. I think they're at odds for some reason. I think that's where Rush is right now. He's kind of caught in the crossfire on that because CMLL didn't want him on pay-per-views on AEW.
That's true, actually. There was a report that came out before Wrestle Dynasty saying they're refusing to let him go, which is weird because they were not the co-partner, but they were a partner of the product.
Correct.
Pay-per-view, which makes no sense.
They refused to let him work other shows, and I'm just like, why? He's good.
Why would you this is what doesn't make sense. Why would you refuse to let him go when you let the likes of Persephone go?
Yeah.
Or all your freaking luchadors.
Well, now, I gave Persephone a solid look, and while I agree that she's got it, she's green as grass. I don't think they minded letting her go. But I think that whole Vakur thing, or Vakur, whatever the hell we're calling it.
Stephanie Vakur.
Yeah, I think that
so
gave
hard
them
by
cold feet. I think that gave them cold feet to letting their top performers actually go work other shows. And Rush is a top performer at CMLL, and so Stephanie, and she got snatched up by WWE.
So's QT Marshall. Thank God he wasn't on that show.
Oh man, QT Marshall. He could have been in the Gauntlet. I'm kidding. Anyway,
I know. I just
dead ass kidding on that one.
I love to make the mug. From the opening matches though, from the first 3 matches that we've discussed. So we've discussed the Buddy Matthews match, which against Ospreay, which was a shining light. The Bobby Lashley versus Mark Briscoe match was just there in terms of what you need. And then we had the special, which was the Gauntlet. Do you think that they really got the positioning wrong for these matches? Because I think as well, what made... You know what I mean? I agree with you about saying that Collision should have had the Lashley versus Briscoe match, but does it not feel strange to you that they had the Gauntlet tonight? I don't think we necessarily need it tonight because they're doing the women's Gauntlet at Maximum Carnage.
Right.
It feels odd to why not have both? Why not just have tonight both Gauntlet matches?
Because then that would be an open. If we're looking at the Gauntlet matches as what they are and not what we want them to be, this is Tony's version of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
If they had ran the men's and women's on the same night, I'd have to be off social media for like 3-4 fucking days over that. No shit. Because it would have been horrible. It'd be like, oh look, the Temu Royal Rumble's on tonight. I can just the headlines just write themselves.
Did you agree with at least some of the talent though in this match? I definitely agreed with about 4.
I agreed with 4. 4 I'll give. I was really at 3 or 2, but I'll give it 4. Just listening back a little bit, I'll give it 4.
Yeah. For me, White, Page, Ricochet, and Hobbs. I think they 4. I agree. I like what they did with Jeff Jarrett though. I have to say, I give strong praise to the booking there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like the fact that they still had a good segment and they've already teased his next story. Credit to MJF. Now, we all know Catherine loves MJF. She loves a bit of MJF. She won't admit it, but she loves a bit of MJF. They used him correctly. Because we were going to say, oh, well, MJF is live here. We're expecting, is he going to be in the Gauntlet? Because obviously he wants his Triple B back. But I like the fact that they really came at him in the way, well, actually, hold on. MJF is going to completely ruin Jeff Jarrett right now. But then the segment ends strongly with Jarrett actually getting the final word in.
Mm-hmm.
And a strong final word. And I'm like, that's what you want? I was actually very impressed by that segment. Did you like that segment? I thought it was actually really good. I don't particularly like MJF that much.
I'm having a hard time with the thought of running a program in this particular year.
Yeah.
If it were next year, I'd be like, okay, we got fuck you time now. Because we worked our ass off for a year and we got goodwill built up. We got some fuck you time here. Let's go ahead and run this thing. I don't know that this is the right move this year, but I understand that Jeff Jarrett probably will not be active for 2 years.
Yes,
so
I agree.
It's either now or never. I do appreciate the fact that was the second swerve in the same match, because as soon as they announced Jeff Jarrett, you're like, shit, it's over with. He's going to win. And he's going to fight it. Let's just enjoy whatever the hell it is they're getting ready to do. And then they run him off. See, now that was good.
Yeah.
I don't think that MJF and Jeff Jarrett have chemistry. I don't think they have anything other than let's just go out here and shout each other down for a minute. You'll get a pop, I'll get a pop, and we'll just go back to the back. They didn't have any chemistry in this thing.
And do you think they can develop it though? Do you think they can develop it though? Because I think they have an earnest for it. I think because there's a lot of time between now and Revolution, I think they're going to probably have this match. I think you've got to put that to a degree on paper. You need to actually properly test Jarrett's capability.
I disagree, and here's why. I'm a fresh set of eyes to AEW. I'm a fresh set. I just started watching in February.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a fresh set of eyes to AEW, and I do not in any way, and I don't understand what it was in the first place. I don't understand MJF. I don't see him. I don't understand the hook. I don't know what it was that got him to that point. I've even gone back and watched some matches, even the day one matches on up, and I'm like, what were they seeing in this guy? He's like a really young Miz with a couple of extra muscles on him. What are they seeing?
There's a lot of people got weird theories about MJF, and I don't know myself about what it is they saw in him, but I think it's just because they seem like he presented himself in a way like he was just totally different. But
that's just it. He's not. That's the whole thing of it. And I've tried to give it the benefit of the doubt. And I'm not. Once again, if y'all like MJF, that's great. I just don't see it. That's the one guy besides Orange Cassidy that I can definitely. I can look at the company and say, what is this guy doing for you?
Yeah, no, I understand that. I actually understand that.
That 100 or so just like him couldn't do, and maybe even better. You know, I'm not a big MJF guy, and I think the reason is the only person that he can have a program with is Adam Cole. That's why they keep sticking. That's why they eventually migrate back together. Now with Adam Cole, I see it. I see the chemistry. Their timing is right. They pick up each other's sentences, and they can freestyle it. They're good together. MJF and basically anybody else, no.
I think, me personally, he's only ever had 4 good programs, like consistently at top level. I think he's only had 4 good programs in 6 years. Which, for your world champion, that's quite, actually no, I think that's a bit harsh. 5. He's had 5 strong segments in actually no, I'm being really, really harsh. 6. He's had this. Yeah, I'm not changing this. He's had 6 strong strong programs in 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
First one, even though there's sometimes where I just think the guy's a complete fool, but I don't like him. But his legacy in the business is still important that he can't really remove. His program with Cody Rhodes when he turned heel on him and cost him the world title is actually a very strong program. He completely screwed him over, and it worked. The second one, for me, the Darby Allin, like the first Darby Allin program, is genuinely wonderful work between the 2 young guns of the promotion, and you can see potentially the future's building for them. The third one, definitely not Wardlow. For me, number 3, the first time he wins the Diamond Ring, I really like that. 4th, CM Punk. I don't think any. There's no way you can say he's not, like, you can't include that one. I think it's just that is his best ever work. I don't think he'll ever top that.
No,
ever. I don't ever see that happening. 5th. Who would I say is 5th? Oh. Actually, the 5th one's Chris Jericho. When the test of Jericho that he was doing, the trials of Jericho, and then the last one, I would have to say Moxley when he wins the world championship. But that's it.
Saved my
Yo, Stampede, how are you? Matthew's currently on a call right now, so I'm just letting him finish up, but he's just currently on a call right now, so I'll just continue talking. That promo him Punk did was gold. He's just a less famous Miz. Still gets me. That segment was excellent, and I like the fact that it starts with no conversation, so it's really strong in that way. We get that in the right concept. Stampede, how are you? We'll let Matty continue. He's currently on his phone call. Would you agree with what I've said about programs, ladies and gentlemen, or do you disagree? So I said programs: Cody Rhodes, Darby Allin, Cody Rhodes, Darby Allin, Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, CM Punk, and who else? Who's the other one that I said? Oh, the Dynamite ring when he wins that for the first time. Like, they're all good programs for him getting to those. Like, they are strong programs and they show depth. Will we see that again from MJF? I don't think so. I just want to point that out, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think so. It started well. It did. They got so confused, though. All good?
I'm back now. Sorry, that's work.
No, you're fine. Okay. No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just listening to what the programs that I think was good. Stampede's also, and he's saying hello. Catherine's also saying that the BFF program of Adam Cole was good. I think it started well, but I don't think it ended well. Like, because they didn't get the payoff they wanted.
And they're not going to. They're not going to get the payoff out of that because Adam got hurt. MJF, the programs that I've seen that he works with Adam Cole, they work. Now, Adam Cole got hurt and screwed it up. The other part of that, too, is that Tony just wanted to finish that. For some ungodly reason, we had to finish it. Like, everybody knew it was hurt. Everybody knew there was months. It had died. It was cold. And Tony's like, I'm going to throw it in the microwave and see if I can heat it back up again. And it just never heated. And I think that was a negative across the board because it hurt Adam Cole. It hurt MJF. It hurt both of them equally. And the blow-off to it, which we're hoping this is the blow-off, was sorry. I mean, it needed to be the curtain jerk match because, you know.
It's true, Stampede. And also, shout to I've just noticed as well, your profile picture, amazing. Bruiser Brody.
Oh, man.
That's iconic. Bruiser Brody. What a guy. So far we've reviewed, in respect, ladies and gentlemen, so far we've reviewed the Dynamite opening match, which was fantastic. Ospreay versus Buddy, we spoke about that and the potential ability that match can have for Buddy and what it could do for him, more so than what it does for Will. We've spoken about the Briscoe versus Lashley match, and that should be more for Collision. We spoke about the Gauntlet, several segments, had some praise and some questions about certain talent in the match, but there's some important things. The next segment, however, I just want to say it lost steam, but I just want to get this comment first. If they didn't address the hanging storyline, then people would have complained, so they're just going to let that go. No win situation. I absolutely agree. I agree. I want to ask you about one segment. This is a guy that I've had the privilege of seeing live, and not gonna lie, I was looking forward to it, but it did kind of fiddle. It did lose steam. It's the Cope segment.
Yeah.
And it's not because he's bad. He ain't. It's just that this segment was in the wrong. It was in the wrong place, and it was also. It wasn't relevant.
This is, and I don't think Tony Khan's going to stumble across this, but if he does, match placement, segment placement. My God, you finished Dynamite last week with Copeland and Rated FTR coming out to the ring. Basically, there was a little bit of a struggle, a little bit of a scuffle, but they ran them off.
Exactly.
Now, what you do with that, now it was a good segment.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good, strong segment, made Cope look real. God, I hate doing that, especially if, what in the world?
You're popular today. Popular thing. I'm sticking with Copeland. I am not calling him Cope. I just think that's weird.
No, I'm just saying, especially here in North Carolina, because Catherine will back me up. Everybody knows that Cope is Copenhagen. That's like dip. Like, that's literally what they call Copenhagen is Cope. I don't know if anybody researched that very well or not, but at least here I have a terrible problem calling him Cope because I'm like, Copenhagen. Yeah, no. Anyway, you finished strong last week. We know the Death Riders are in the building this week.
Absolutely.
Why not bookend that and open up the show that way? You know? Why not bookend it and have them in there? I can sit here all day and my phone makes no noise whatsoever. The minute I start doing something, it blows up. I feel what Mr. Stark says because that's exactly what happened. Why do you not bookend that though? And come back with it.
We're going to come back to that. I'm going to start this because I agree with that. I'm going to come back to that. Just so I don't interrupt you mid-point, which I think is excellent.
Yes. Copeland, if we don't get Beth Phoenix out of this, then I'm going to consider it a fail. And I'm leaving it.
Yes.
If we don't get Beth Phoenix out of this, I'm going to call that whole program a fail. Because everything builds up, and then you could point her at Shafir on top of all that.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't get that out of this program, then, but no, getting back to what I was saying, match placement, segment placement, the whole 9 yards, it just, they don't bookend very well.
Mm-hmm.
He closes one way, opens another way, closes a different way, comes back to open with what should have opened closed 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And after a while, that's what's turning fans off. There's nothing wrong with the presentation. There's just something in there for everybody. You got your, like Catherine likes Orange Cassidy. Somebody likes Private Party. You've got enough stuff in there for everybody. The problem is the segments don't match each other.
I firmly agree on that one, and that's the weird thing because I said it before. I said it before you joined the chat, the actual live chat itself. I said at the very start that the difference between this show and last week is I think this was a better show than last week, purely because of formula. But I asked, will they consistently do well with that, or will it backfire? I think they've got the right formula now, the right blend of promos and matches for TV. Just will they maintain it consistently? If they can't do it, we will see that as fans.
Yeah,
not just as content creators. We'll see it as fans. If we do see a positive, we'll praise it.
Right, and on top of all that too, don't run your good stuff in the ground. That's the other part. I'm afraid what's going to wind up happening is he's going to burn Harley Cameron down.
I agree.
And Mark Briscoe comes on television, cuts one funny ass promo 6 months ago, and then for every consecutive week after that, we had to have a Mark Briscoe, and the promos got less funny every time.
Yeah.
Save that stuff. You don't have a Ric Flair in here. And I say that hearkening back to WCW because at the middle of the show, you just automatically knew Ric Flair was going to be there at the turn of the hour between the 8 and 9 o'clock hour to keep fans on television.
Yeah.
You knew Ric Flair was going to be 52 weeks a year. That's exactly how it worked. Ric Flair midway through the show to hold the numbers.
And it was always good stuff. It was either Rick being a jackass. Or it was Rick putting someone over, or it was Rick doing incredible promo work to build a future storyline, and then it was never stale. This is the weird thing. There's something about Ric Flair that I don't. This is actually a weird thing about Ric Flair that I don't understand. And I'll come back to Stampede. Stampede, you made another comments. I've just started. If you actually look at Ric Flair's promo work in WCW compared to the 80s NWA or his 2000s WWE run specifically,
right?
His late like 96 to 99 equivalent that period of time, 96 to 99 WCW, Ric Flair was never once the worst segment on the show, I believe.
Never. No.
Because he was always consistent. And I think now in the 80s NWA, obviously Ric Flair got the longest promos because obviously he was by far their best talker.
Right.
But the promos, not all of them worked. Some of them did though. I mean, like the for me, like the best two of his promos he did that absolutely stood out for me. The one when he came back after, I think it was Volkov tried to permanently injure him. I think it was Nikolai Volkov. It was a great program. The second one obviously was the debut of the big gold belt. I think that was incredible. And then I think the third one is when he beats the hell out of Sting with the Four Horsemen after Ole Anderson threatens him to drop the world title match of the Great American Bash.
Right.
And he just grabs him by the shirt and he tells him, "Listen, punk, you're going to drop this match." And then he just beats the piss out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in WCW's programs that he had, he put over talent that he should have been put over in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, he put over Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah.
4 times, I believe. If I was the booker, I'd be telling Hollywood Hogan to put him over.
Right.
But Ric Flair, no. But his best work was by far when he put over Bret Hart. That 98 promo with Bret Hart was incredible. When he lists all those champions, you could be greater than Harley Race. You could be greater than Lou Fez. You could be greater than Terry Funk, Ricky Steamboat. You could be greater than all them, but you can't be greater than Ric Flair because I've won it 12 times.
At that time, yeah, I think he was.
And I'm like, that's it. But the AEW don't have a Ric Flair type promo like that.
That's part of where I was going with that. But the other part of it is this is not hard. This is not rocket science.
It's easy.
And the thing about it is,
it's a fair point though, Catherine. He is on that spectrum. It's a possibility, but you should have people helping him.
But like, I can tell you a WCW program format. They open up with a curtain jerker, then they're going to throw some cruiserweights in there to heat up. That's going to be your heater. And then they're going to have a mid-card match, and at the mid part of the hour to hold all of their attendance there, Ric Flair was going to come down, cut about an 8, 9, 12-minute promo. Then they were going to have Lex Luger come in. Then we have our NWO segment. And we're going to close out with either Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, or some combination of the three. Lather, rinse, repeat.
With the Nitro Girls in between.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole show. The NWO was built in to be a multifunctional, and now that in and of itself went stupid. And you can't help that because everybody wanted to have a finger in the pie. Pause. But the whole thing of it is the show was that's how predictable the show was. We knew we were going to have a curtain jerker. We knew we were going to have cruiserweights. Now let's flip over to WWE.
2008 WWE, I can say like that. 2008 WWE, it's either Randy Orton, Cena, or Triple H starts the show with a 10-minute promo. Then you've got your mid-card match. Then the women get a 30-second match. Then you've got a promo for about 5 minutes back and forth.
Right.
Probably a Shawn Michaels or a Chris Jericho. Then after that, you've got a tag match that goes for 7 to 9 minutes. And then after that, you've got one more final singles match, probably your Intercontinental Champion. And then after that, and then after that, you've got your last promo that's your top heel or your top babyface selling the pay-per-view. Or you've got Vince McMahon being a senile fucker.
Right, and then, see, that's the whole thing. My point of that is, as a viewer, you knew exactly what you were going to get day in, day out, night in, night out. Every time you sat down to watch a WCW program, every time you sat down to watch a WWF, then WWE program, you knew what you were going to get. But the way Tony books some of this stuff here now is the match order and the promo order is what's killing him because it's all over the screen now. Now we're starting off, this week we start off hot. Okay, next week we might start off with a curtain jerker. The week after that we might start off with a promo. And the week after that we might start off with a clusterfuck. I mean, it's exhausting to an average viewer who doesn't pay attention to wrestling enough to know what a shoot is, to know what a work is, to know what a heel is. They just want to be entertained. And there's not a consistent level there yet. Now, I'm
if
hoping...
If you were booking Dynamite, what would be your start? What would be your turn of the hour segment? And what would be your finish? For me personally, I would open with a strong 10 to 15 minute match. And then I would go into my top babyface with a promo. I would go into my top babyface, not my top heel. I would end the show with the top heel.
I don't. I go one step further than that. I open up with my mid merch.
Yep.
My mid hour, at my top of the hour, is going to be my top merch.
Yep.
And then end of the show is going to be my top promos. That's exactly how I would do it. Open it up with mid merch, top promos.
Yeah.
That's exactly, I mean, that's how I would do it, that in that particular order, because if you're still counting cable numbers only matter for the first 5 minutes. Then you've got a 50-minute window.
Yeah.
Then the window in between there is 5 minutes in front, 5 minutes after. So you've got a 10-minute segment you've got to hold them with.
Yes, so
and
it's
then,
so vital.
And then the only thing the Nielsen's care about at the end of the show is the last 5 minutes. Who's there? Who transitions between that? So it's easy to beat numbers. Numbers never really impressed me in the first place because that's exactly how it works.
And they are misconstrued.
The Nielsen sniffed the last 5 minutes and the first 5 minutes of every hour. So that 50 minutes in the middle, you could have two people milking cows for 48 of those minutes.
You theoretically could, yeah.
Yeah, literally you could have people milking cows for that time period. Then about 5 minutes before the 5 minutes, bring in some action. You'll get your viewers back, and nobody would be any the wiser, except for the people that actually watched it.
Yeah, this is why I think Tony's missing a really weird trick. The certain talent he's got, now we know that every booker, and anybody who argues this, doesn't watch wrestling. Or in my opinion, every booker, regardless of the era, or because that's overused now, or in fact no, regardless of the decade, every booker has a favorite or select favorites that will be on the shows, ironically in the segments where they shouldn't be. So, like for example, I'm trying to think of a great one that's actually different to what people say. Yeah, I was going to go with a TNA one, but it depends on the talent. But I will go one that's relevant. Mid 2010s WWE, for example, you had talents like Fandango, in segments that should have went to the likes of Dolph Ziggler, or segments that maybe Edge could have had at the time, like before he got injured. But you were giving them to absolute cretins like The Miz or the Big Slow. I'm sorry, but Big Show should have stopped being advertised on WWE TV after 2005.
Yeah.
He should have been done. He should have been packed up. But they kept going. Or mid 2000 WWE when they were using Viscera as a love handle. I'm like, this is insulting. They were using him over genuinely good talents, which is ridiculous. And AEW are the same. They're not going to get away with this. There's times where they had Chris Jericho in the right segments when he was actually needed, and then they started making him doing all this illogical rubbish that he doesn't even. I don't think he enjoys it. I actually think he'll never admit it. I think Jericho hated the Jericho Appreciation Society. I think he hated doing it. I think he hated doing. I think he hates doing the learning tree. I think the only one he liked was the Inner Circle, not because he was world champion, but because back then he was in the best physical and creative vision for that time. Since then, he hasn't been the same.
So if I'm booking this show,
I'm the owner, you're my booker. What are you doing for me?
Okay, I'm opening up. Okay, I like the way they opened up last night with Will Ospreay showcasing, because Will Ospreay's your gatekeeper. You've got to go through Will Ospreay to make it on this show. So they do that with him and Buddy Murphy or Buddy Matthew, whichever one they're calling him by Buddy. Just say Buddy. That way we don't get the name straight out. Then I moved the women's talking segment right
Buddy
after
Murphy.
that.
Buddy Murphy, you're right.
Yeah. So then I moved the women's segment, the Harley Cameron and what's her face, Mariah May. I moved that segment next, because once again Mariah May was at the end of it last week. I moved her up to the front. I'm bookending. First off, I opened the show with Copeland kicking the shit out of Moxley out in the parking lot. He gets him alone.
Yeah.
Catches him off guard.
Because that adds his segment. His segment brilliantly.
Yeah. If I'm opening with a segment first before I do Will Ospreay, I open up the segment with Moxley, with Copeland getting a shot in on Moxley, and everybody comes run up. Copeland runs away. Ha ha, got you. Then you open up with Will Ospreay, Buddy Murphy. Then you go straight to the women's segment. Then I take the women's match. Go ahead and get that one out of the way, because as much of a swerve as it was, there wasn't a lot of energy for the match because everybody just figured Tony was going to win. Then I figured out what he was doing there. He gave Stat a win because he's giving Tony the win next week. So
she's definitely winning that thing. She's going to come at last.
Yeah, Tony Storm is going to highlight Grand Slam. That's going to happen. So we know that's going to happen. So I go ahead and get that match out of the way.
Yeah.
Then I do I wanted Swerve Strickland to carry the half hour. I wanted Swerve Strickland to carry the hour lap because he got cut up so bad last week. I wanted him on television.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, I'm getting lost in where I'm at. Then I do the Bobby Lashley segment after that, and I close with this Gauntlet thing here because then I could have given it time to open up and breathe, and I could have it got too rushed in there. But if I leave it as my last segment of the match of the night, then it's got time to open up and breathe, and it can get organic really quick. And for those people who are fans of, I don't know, who's not on television every week that probably should be, Kip Sabian, just for shits and giggles. Let's say
he's excellent. I like Kip Sabian.
That was the first name that came to mind there. So let's say Kip Sabian. You'd have time to put a Kip Sabian in there. And he could also be running the agenda for Christian Cage. See, we got one person's agenda in there. We didn't get the other person's agenda in there, the guy that's holding the contract. That we dropped out of that match for whatever reason.
Oh, yeah. Massively.
So you give the match enough time to breathe. You get enough fan favorites in there. You get people talking about it at the water cooler the next day. That's how you get your fans back.
Great shout as well from Christopher. He predicts Sky Blue returns next week.
Oh yeah, she should be back next week in that Gauntlet match. But that's how I would have booked it. I would have opened it up with Cope kicking ass. Then I would have gone to the Ospreay segment. Then I'd have done the women's talking segment. Just in that order.
Yeah, it's actually healthy. It's healthy, and you still get. As well, you still get the segment that ends the show.
Correct.
And the segment that ends the show is very, very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Because simple, straight to the point, elegant work, no bullshitting. Last night, I think Kenny Omega is starting to get what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
To a degree. I think to a degree he is starting to get what he wants, that he asked for on his Twitch stream several months ago. He wants to be presented the way he should be.
I'll be back in a minute.
No problem. Don't know what you guys think, but I think last night it's a start of him being presented the way that he wants to be. My only criticism though, even though I really like Brian Cage, it's not the program he should be going into. Kenny should not be in a program with the Don Callis family. Unless it leads to the ending of the Don Callis family once and for all, then I don't see the reason behind it. It should be about him saying, I lost time. We're going for it all. We're going for it all. Like, if he's not obsessed with power, he's not obsessed with money, he should be obsessed with becoming champion. Go all in for the championship. Get your all-in match in Texas versus Okada. Go to Double or Nothing. Win the Battle Royal or the Casino Battle Royal at Double or Nothing as well, if they do it. This should be his year to take it all back. Will they do it? I don't know, but this is not the year to take. Like, the one thing that they cannot do this year, and I know a lot of people have said this as well, there's no excuse for AEW to give Kenny Omega the run that he needs, which is the best bout machine. You've got to give him those top matches, top feuds, and don't fuck about. Just don't fuck it around. Cage is also asked to wrestle Omega since he came to AEW. I have no problem with this storyline between Omega and Callis. Yeah, Christian Cage and Omega had a great match on the very first Rampage. It was great. It's not that I've got an issue altogether with Omega Callis. It's if it doesn't lead to the end of the Callis family, then what's the point? Because at the end of the day, Don Callis only needs one guy. He only needs Takeshita. He only needs him. What will form from it, Catherine, is for me that's the question. This year has got to be like a Phoenix formation. This year's got to be Kenny Omega in terms of AEW rising from like a phoenix. If you fuck him about with shitty feuds and programs that diminish his quality, his star power, his match quality, then you're nuts. Because if you look at the match he had against Gabe Kidd at Wrestle Dynasty,
oh yeah,
it's already a match of the year contender. We're only 9 days in to 2025,
right,
and we've already got a match of the year. It was the best match on the entire weekend. Like, nothing came close. And there were some good matches, but it was fundamental, start to finish. You've got to give him... He has to win the world title this year. There's some other talents that deserve to be AEW World Champion this year, and they should absolutely get it. Jay White needs to get a hold of it. Okada should win this. Darby Allin. But Kenny Omega has to reclaim this championship as well. And you need to present him... I don't like Roman Reigns, I never will. But Kenny specifically deserves to be treated like that. He was done that to a degree when he held certain titles in New Japan. Strap a rocket up his arse, and he will take you to the furthest reaches. Because he is still that good.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, we might see a different style of Omega in AEW that we never thought he would do. It might be a blessing in disguise, but diverticulitis might have actually changed that around for him in terms of a worker. Not that it's, I don't wish it on him, obviously. I don't wish a horrible illness on someone, but he could end up working in a way that finally he might answer the question of, could he be... We said it on the review that he's a one of one.
Mm-hmm.
Now's the time where Omega might also finally start working like some of the guys he emulated. Like, I can see him channeling the second run of Shawn Michaels. Like, Styles reinventing himself when he went less of the aerial moves and more technical ground game. And I could see him doing a lot more serious shit like Kurt Angle. He emulates all those guys in one. You're not you're not losing Omega. That's presentation. It's insanity, but he's a work of art.
Overall, here we run into the problem again. Now we've got Slapnuts over here wanting a program to be the world champion. We've got Ricochet wanting to be a world champion. He's not going to be this year. Probably maybe next year, possibly. You've got Christian Cage running around with a contract. You've got
at least he's genuine.
Yeah, and you've got Moxley running around with the title in the briefcase, and you've got Copeland sniffing the title. You've got Ospreay actually pivoted just a little bit to say that he would be interested in the world title, which is a first, because I don't believe Ospreay was interested in winning the world title at all.
I agree.
He doesn't need it. I mean, Ospreay doesn't need a title. Omega doesn't need a title. So the biggest problem, the reason that I keep coming back to the booking and the match placement and the match segments is you are quickly working your way up on a very little ladder with a whole lot of people standing on it.
Yeah.
And in a year, this is the year you can't fumble fans. You can't fumble fans this year. You can fumble them last year. You can fumble them next year. You can't fumble them this year.
It's a match year, ironically.
Yeah, it's a match here. You can't fumble fans, so I like it. I like what you got to say. I believe you. I know Kenny Omega needs the title, but do we farm him back out to New Japan and let him pick up a title there and bring it back here? I mean, there's those questions that I've got because, I mean, I just named 6 people off the top of my head that are in line, and we haven't even gotten to Jay White, Hangman Adam Page. Swerve's got to get back around there and get his hands on the title. Samoa Joe's coming back, and MJF thinks he ought to be the world champion.
I think the story ultimately is they want to get to Darby Allin, whenever.
Yeah, and Darby Allin, if he doesn't fall off the side of Mount Everest or die trying to climb the damn thing, we got to have room for Darby Allin too.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, we're at least 10 people, and there's only 12 months in the year, and unless everybody wants to have a 15-day title run, which would also be ugly as hell.
Oh, word.
But if you now wait, time out, because this just hit me. Time out, this just hit me.
True, Chris.
Okay, let's go back to the Attitude Era for this year. Let's take the Attitude Era formula and plug it into this year, and I think you can make it work. Because we had title flips all the damn time during the Attitude. There was one year where I think there was like 47 or 48 title flips in one year.
WCW
and they were doing 8-9 million on television. For all you WWE fans, that's a real number. They used to pull 8 to 9 million people a week just in the United States.
And that was incredible. I disagree with you a little bit, Catherine. I know you don't like Hangman, but I actually think Hangman should be in the world title scene. And I think he deserves a second crack at it.
Yeah, his first crack wasn't that good. His first crack was not that good. I agree with everybody who says it wasn't that good because I agree it wasn't that good. He needs another shot at it. But you could just say, all right, we're going to copy the Attitude Era this year, and we're just going to flip the title left and right. We're going to put a lot of energy behind it. That might bail him out, and that might get everybody there, but I don't think Omega should be world champion until World's End. I really don't. Yeah.
I agree with that. I would have him go through the whole year building himself up to that scene where he should literally come out and say, my plan this year is to reestablish myself. I'm going to reestablish myself in the company, and by the end of the year, I'm leaving the year as champion. He said that his favorite wrestler is Kurt Angle. There's a Kurt Angle story that I actually think would be perfect for Kenny Omega, and it was Kurt Angle in 2010 after he lost to AJ Styles. He lost AJ Styles back to back, to be fair. He lost 3 times in a row, and he was denied a world title match. throughout the rest of the year while Styles was champion. He's like, well, you just can't do it. You can't compete for the title for the rest of 2010. That's the end of it. You've just got to do other things. He then goes through the likes of Ken Anderson, gives Ken the best matches of his entire career.
Right.
He gave Jeff Hardy probably the best match he had in like years as well, even though he had some decent matches here and there. But he gave him his best match in No Surrender with 40 minutes. Those two win, which for Jeff Hardy, unheard of. He did great matches towards the end of the year, but he kept going through all the young guys as well, beating them all contender after contender. And if he lost, he would quit. He gets to the big pay-per-view of the year. He doesn't get pinned, but he still loses the match, and he's forced to pack it in. Well, storyline basis.
Corbin. Oh my God, yes, I remember that.
In storyline basis, it was Ken Anderson versus Jeff Hardy versus Kurt Angle at Bound for Glory for the TNA World Title, vacant title because RVD had been taken out by an injury, storyline-wise. Kurt Angle doesn't get the pin, but he gets screwed. So he's forced to retire in 2010, but he doesn't. He comes back in 2011. But the whole year, he is building himself back up to get into the picture. So I think Kenny Omega should go through every single top main event talent until it gets to World End, and then he beats the champion decisively.
Yeah. That one, Kenny Omega needs to win clean and decisively. And next year, when Ricochet's number comes up, he needs to win clean and decisively. Everybody else can win with fuck finishes. I mean, that's fine. But those two need to be clean because those two are catching the most hell. But,
I agree.
I mean, now that I think about it, that's the only way you're going to be able to book this year. If you're going to have, I mean, we just counted just off the top of our head, we have 10 people laying claim to the title. There's only 12 months in a year, and one of those months we're not having a pay-per-view. So there you go.
Exactly.
I mean, at some point in time, you got to start either rocket booking this thing or setting these guys down and going, I got to do this guy here, because he's going to be retiring at the end of the year. So he's up front, close to the front of the line. The rest of you guys can work it out behind him. Let me get that done, and then we'll work it out from there. And I think everybody just needs to get into a room and agree on how the order of how they want to go over is, because the biggest problem with AEW is it's too stacked. Yeah. There's not a lot of mid-card. There's a whole lot of great and a whole lot of shit, and not a whole lot of in-between.
Yeah, they need to... There's something that my co-host, she's not on with us tonight, but like, she'll be back very, very soon. I'm hoping this weekend. That's one thing that she's always said is like the roster's so stacked, but they need to actually find the position, actually find the talent where they need to be. So I think like they need to actually place order in correctly. If they can do that this year, they're great. It's a big problem across promotions right now. They don't actually know their place, except maybe 3 or 4 know where they're supposed to be.
Right.
It's not healthy.
No, it's not. It's not healthy for any of the companies, and it's starting to show. I mean, I don't like WWE. I like the performers. I don't like the company. And I will actually watch the performers. I watch the show for the performers.
Which is reasonable.
But one thing WWE consistently does is they book consistently. Now, I personally think most of it's consistently shit, but it's consistent, you know. And quite frankly, some of the stuff that Tony Khan could be booking could be better, but it's not in the sewer dumps. Yeah. Now, I will say this right now. If Daniel Garcia picks up a win on Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, or any of those guys, I probably will go. I'll go nuclear on social media. But other than that, I mean, even the stat win yesterday was cool. Because I had hoped he would give it to Willow as a thank you for the way she worked this weekend. I had hoped that he would give it to her, but I get that he gave it to Stat. I get it. And it was a good win. It was a good win. Now
it's a good way to pass it on.
Yeah, I mean, do we do that on a consistent basis? No. But at least do something similar to that. If you're going to have some kind of significant, if you're going to create a significant buzz in professional wrestling, You have to do those things every once in a while just to keep people guessing, because I'm pretty sure we all thought Toni Storm was winning that match. I did.
I thought she was going to pin Willow. That's the weird thing. I thought she was going to pin Willow. Thanks for tuning in, James. We'll be going for about another 10, 15 minutes, but thank you so much, man. It's always good to see you.
Yeah.
And I will see you in the next. He's a good guy.
Yeah. So, but I mean, but then when Statlander went over, I just thought to myself, Willow got good minutes in Japan. Obviously, they don't want Toni Storm doing a twofer. This made sense, you know. So if he could book more that way, where even if I stop and think about it, it's easy to make it make sense.
It is.
And if he booked more like that and booked the order correctly, and he says he watched WCW, that's the formula. It worked. It actually scared Vince McMahon.
And the weird thing is, if he watches WCW as he claims, he would have been using that formula, not the 2001 push, but the 96 to 99 formula.
Yes.
Until it went wrong, was fundamentally excellent. It's why WWE changed their formula and they started ripping WCW apart, because they changed their formula. They were excellent. And they knew what they were doing. Like, that's adapting and being proactive. At the moment, is Tony Khan being proactive? No.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's just a little bit of here and there. Like one show I saw, I had just made a comment like, "Hey Tony, match order and promo order, they sucked last week." And I made some comment like, "You need to have this, this, and the other." The following week was that week that everybody turned on Swerve.
Yeah.
But he put him in the right segment for that. That was the perfect segment, because it was the 5 minutes before and the 5 minutes after. You know, he put him right in the middle of the show. Swerve's out there. Everybody turns on him. Everybody goes batshit. Twitter goes nuts. That was the perfect time. He needs more of that.
Yeah.
That's where it needs.
Ironically, as well, because I know we both watched the Netflix premiere. We both gave our takes on it. If you actually look at it, WWE actually did get one particular moment spot on. They got the Rock's opening segment straight into the Tribal Combat match. They actually got the follow-up. Like, that's actually very important. We've got a comment here. Does Matty Man know he looks like Jeff Bridges in Iron Man?
No idea.
I mean, that's a big one. What's up, Captain? How you doing? Nice having your comments in here. It's always good seeing good conversations. Jeff Bridges in Iron Man is great. You do give me the some vibes like that. You also give me a little bit of Breaking Bad.
You caught me at a good time today. That's all I can say.
Goddamn.
Yeah. God. Anyway.
But overall, if you had to rate, I don't particularly like rating matches. I think if they're good, they're good. If they're shit, they're shit. But that's how it is. And you look like Bran from Game of Thrones. I'll fucking take that. Bran was cool.
Yeah.
Bran was cool. I like Bran. I will take that. I don't particularly rate match. I thought the show was better than last week, but only because they had the formula. Can they just get it in the right order?
Yeah, they're sitting there. I'm at a solid 6.5 on this one. I was at a solid 6.5 last night too. It didn't change when I rewatched it, because I was trying to get I was trying to see what I missed, because when you're doing the watch along, you miss a lot.
It does happen.
Yeah, and so I was like trying to catch what I missed. And I went back and I was just like, if you put this part here and this part here, that'll fix the whole thing. And no, wait a minute. Now, if we put this over, it's hard. It's hard to deal with. Well, everybody beat Raw this week on cable television. So, I mean, TNA is going to beat Raw this week. So,
and the thing is, I've seen the ratings. I don't care. I know you watched my Raw review, and I'm consistent. I don't care about ratings discussions.
Yeah.
The only discussions I care about are the talent good, is the product good, is the booking good and consistent, and is there no shitty scandals that are going to ruin my love of pro wrestling? If you've got all, and that's it. I don't care about who beat who in the ratings. But if the show is shit, you're gonna hear about it from me. If the show was good, I'm gonna say it. I didn't hate Raw this week. I know I'm very critical of WWE, and you know I'm very critical of WWE.
Yeah.
I'm very honest. I didn't hate the show. I didn't watch NXT, so I can't comment. I don't watch NXT that much, but when I watch the mains, like I stick to my New Japan shows, I stick to Raw, I stick to SmackDown, I watch Dynamite and Collision, and I watch TNA. I barely watch Ring of Honor, so it's not because I don't like it. It's just it doesn't give me the same vibes as the old Ring of Honor. So I have that loyalty to the previous. It's not because Tony Khan bought it. It's just it doesn't feel like it just doesn't work for me anymore. So I don't hold that against him. I just like the original product because the talent was a lot better then. That's just normal.
And but talent. Yeah,
and that's with it. So I don't hold anything. Christopher Swellick didn't watch it, but one thing I will always stand on is if I did like the show, I will say it. If I hate the show, I'm gonna say it. I didn't hate Raw. I actually thought Raw was okay. My only thing is, can we see more of the younger talent get probably better positioning on the shows? I think they stuck too much to a lot of undeserving legends. And I think this week on Dynamite, they kind of had the same thing, but the one thing they got right was they kept some of the clowns off the show. And I think that's really important. What's up, Fletch? How are you? You were in the Raw review as well. It's good to see you. Hope you're well. I think the hardest thing for 2025 is actually, this might sound like a bad take, but I don't mean it in this way. 2025 is probably the biggest year in pro wrestling since 2001. Like in terms of like it's the like what happened in 2001 should never happened in the first place. They should never have killed off WCW and Nitro. But what we got from it, for me anyway, as a fan, got TNA, great. But it's, in terms of that, it's a very important year for that perspective of watching a product. Just like 2019 with New Japan on the Rise and Dynamite. But it's fundamentally like 2025 is important because every single promotion has either a TV deal or they have a streaming platform.
Right.
And this is huge for them. They need to actually hit their targets, but they need to actually consistently book strong and appeal. And if they don't, they're going to hear about it.
I
think that's a fair comment as well. Was the most what the fuck thing, and he won't tune into Raw next week. Wow.
Raw was kind of all over the place. It was a great big opportunity to showcase this thing to
That's true, it is.
People who don't normally sit down and watch wrestling. They probably cut the cable 5 years ago and they didn't even know wrestling was still on television. And they missed it. I mean, they missed it. The show was good, but it missed.
Yeah, everyone's favorite, Frightful. Another rumor of him leaving. A lot of people like them. I don't bother. Like, for different reasons, I just don't like them. Rumors of Malachi's leaving is kind of funny. Yeah, we touched on that. Go back and talk about that, and you might like what we said. What do you think about this? The Buddy Ospreay stuff. I said at the start, I think this is a good way to test the waters with Buddy. If he's going to be a certified tag wrestler or he's going to be strong in the mid card scene. I think this is his. It's his. It's the. Oh, what's the bloody word? It's not testing the waters is normally what I would say, but there's another thing like it's like your induction in a way. Like we're actually inducting him in that way, or we're going to introduce him in that manner, even though he's already established. Are they going to use it in that strength? but we'll see. Fletch also says he'd rather watch the Kestra for 3 hours. And they're always negative, etc. with negative rumours around AEW is what he's saying about Frightful. And the last thing as well is, would you book Tony to face Mariah Australia? I think it's too early.
No, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's not too early. It's exactly what they're getting ready to do. Mariah sucks as a champion. And I'll say that out loud all day, every day. She's a great lady, awesome wrestler, but as a champion, she sucks. And I hope they learn this.
She's failed. I like Mariah, but she's failed. They should have put the title on someone else, like Dion or Statlander.
And to bookend that, this is going to be a very unpopular take, but it's very true. And everybody's getting ready to get mad in 5 minutes. Dusty Rhodes sucked as world champion. He was great chasing it. They built a 2-year feud on him just chasing it. The minute he got it, 3 weeks later, they had to get it off of him. It was that bad.
Twice.
And it was that bad the time before that, so they built him up as a chaser, and then he got the title. 3 weeks later, they're like, this is dead. They had to take it off of him, put it back on Ric Flair.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
The exact same way.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when Dusty won the title for the first time, Ric Flair was carrying an injury, wasn't he? Because he wasn't seen on TBS for a bit, wasn't he? Like, he wasn't there for a bit. I'm pretty sure he had an injury, didn't he?
Yeah, he was injured, but I can't remember the exact injury. But I mean, the Mariah May is the exact same way. Mariah May is a great chaser.
They were incredible, and I recommend, just for different perspective, Fletch, if you get a chance, go to his channel, go to Graps TV, because he did both watch-alongs.
Yes.
Genuinely, go for it. Oh, this is a good one. I think this whole Jeff Jarrett angle will end with Jay Lethal or Hangman retiring him all in Texas. That would be an incredible swerve.
If we got lucky. I mean, that would be fortunate. Yeah.
That would be an incredible swerve if you think about it, because it would completely throw them off.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I mean, the thing about it is Mariah needs to get that title off of her. So, yeah, they're going to meet in Grand Slam in Australia. That's going to happen. Tony's probably going to pick the title back up there. And she'll be able to work it as a rookie.
It would be quite weird to see her do that.
Oh, hell yeah, it would be funny.
I like watching Mariah May, but her I think it's a testament that she barely gets to defend on pay-per-view.
Yeah,
I think they saw something. I don't know if maybe they saw something in particular. They think maybe she isn't.
It's not what they're seeing. It's what they're not seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, she was fire going into that thing, and the minute she got the title, it's like, all right, I'm better than the rest of you bitches. That's my whole statement.
Yeah, I think her first run won't be as good as maybe if she gets a second run. I think the second run might be different. It might be better. I said that a lot about a lot of champions, and it does help. They can sell. That's why I said Cody Rhodes' first run as WWE champion. For me, it isn't hitting. But his second run, if he's a heel, it might actually fit.
Yeah,
it might fit him better.
And
not a lot of people like me for that.
Yeah, it probably would have been better to put the mid-card title on her. It probably would have been better to have her be TBS champion for a few months and drop it to Mercedes and not have Willow have done that. Yes. You could have sent Willow to CMLL, and she could have been the CMLL Women's World Champion the whole time, and you could have had Mariah May picking up the TBS title and running it like that and learning what it takes to be a champion. Nobody taught her how to be a champion.
That's a good point. That was the split. Don't forget AEW tried splitting JBL from Jarrett, but got postponed. That is true. They really did try. Also, Dynamite without CEO and Jericho old, amazing. I think to a degree, I know I said it on the Raw review, that I do have, and I did say it a little bit about Dynasty as well, even though I did praise her match against Mina Shirakawa. There's times where Mercedes Moné, her promos really don't hit because they don't give her a sense of, they don't feed into her work, and it kind of takes away her legitimacy, which is really not helpful. But when they give her the work with talent that actually works to her, and she can feed off that, she's excellent. Without Jericho, however, and the rest of the Rudy Poo crew,
Jericho
and Orange Cassidy, it was fundamentally beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Here's a question. I'm gonna let you answer this one. What title reign has been more irrelevant? Gunther, Cody, or even Moxley?
Me?
Yeah, if you had to answer that one, I think Gunther. It hasn't hit well.
Gun to my head right now, and I'm being fair to everybody. I don't think Gunther's title run's been bad. I think he was placed in a bad situation.
Yeah.
I don't think Cody's title run is that bad. He just had to follow a 4-year run and a whole bunch of drones that are sitting there going, Bloodline, when's it coming back to the Bloodline? They've been doing that for the whole year, and that's something you got to overcome. I don't think he can do that. Moxley walking around with the title in the briefcase is not hitting at all.
It's not working.
It's not hitting. So all three of them are good, and all three of them are equally as shitty for different reasons.
I think the best championship run right now, and this might sound biased, but I think right now the best booked championship run is probably Nick Nemeth.
Yes,
it's probably going to come. It's probably going to come across as bias, but I think it is, and it's purely because he's being booked like a champion.
Same thing with Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. has the best title run so far of anybody I've seen.
His title run's been phenomenal. I think WWE's best run right now as champion, the best that they've got, is probably Braun Breaker's Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, that's it. Braun Breaker is the only good champion they've got. But the reason I didn't want to shit on any of those three is because they all had good stuff, they all have bad stuff, and none of it is anything that they have control over, except maybe Moxley. And I don't believe that creative control with the Death Riders thing. I think Shane McMahon's working that in the background.
I think he is doing some of it. Statlander's probably the most complete woman. Yes, she is.
Statlander.
She's something else. Catherine said Gunther, Cody, then Mox in that order. Okay, that's very fair. Fletcher's saying Gunther don't even feel like the European beast like he did before this main title run, and I love Gunther. Levesque got to do better. Mm-hmm. I imagine Big Nose Levesque looking at AEW 2 Black Champions for fighting for tag gold. Hobbs going for the main title belt. Meanwhile, Levesque, that comment, I see no color. That was really, really stupid.
I had a comment on that one. I really did. I had a comment.
It's been amazing, Catherine. I really liked his run. It's been really good.
Yeah. Hobbs is in a position right now, and I don't know if he realizes this yet.
He's doomed.
Hobbs is in a position right now where he is grossly underprepared for this match. And I'm worried. I'm worried about the Hobbs match. I really am. I'm worried because he is mentally unprepared, he is socially unprepared, and he is physically unprepared. Because what do you do when he loses?
Look what happened when he lost to Moxley at Daisy's place.
Right.
When he lost the IWGP title match, he was out for a long time because he was not physically prepared. And
let's say likewise, let's say Lightning struck all of us at one time and the sumbitch won the match. What do you do with it?
You've wasted the program. Weird enough.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think Hobbs is in probably the most unenviable position of any wrestler I've seen in 5 years.
That's why I think the wrong man won last night. For me, it should have been. I know I tweeted so many damn times, but for me, Jay White should have won last night. That's
right, because it would have been a good. How are we going to get Grand Slam Australia off right now
without somebody who's local?
With Hobbs in the title picture 2 weeks before the match.
Exactly. Why not have someone from a neighbouring country in the main event?
Right. That's the other part of it.
Exactly. It makes absolutely no sense. Fletcher's making some great comments. He says, I can't understand how you go Netflix with Raw and you book your main champ and your mid champ to be in the crowd. I spoke about that. I was fucking pissed off about Braun Breaker in the crowd. I was pissed off.
That was nasty work. That was nasty work right there. And have Tiffany sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. Why?
What the fuck were all these champions doing there for Raw? I mean, why?
It was pure bollocks as well. Like, it made no sense. Christopher as well. He says Roxanne Perez had a good good run as NXT Women's Champion until she lost when she lost to Julia. That was going to happen. I think it was in the wrong place. Me personally, I would have had it go at the. I know it was New Year's Eve or whatever it was. Why was this not on a pay-per-view? I'm not saying you should not have title changes on a TV episode, or sorry, Netflix, but why isn't that on a pay-per-view? Like if it was the North American Championship, then I would understand. But there's times where the main title for each gender shouldn't have to be defended on TV. But you can have a TV match, but it doesn't need to change there. This one should have changed at the next pay-per-view. I think they just missed the trick, but it's the right winner. I still think it's the right winner. It's just weird.
Somebody woke up Monday morning and went, "Holy shit, the Royal Rumble's coming up. Flip the title." That's exactly what that felt like. It's what it looked like. And unless you're living under a rock, Julia's been the heir apparent since she got there.
Yep, and then it'll be Stephanie. Then Stephanie Vaquero will skip that title and go to the main roster where she should be anyway.
Yeah, Stephanie and Delta both are heading to the main roster. Julia's going to sit back there in the back, but I mean, she should have lost. Actually, Roxanne should have lost that title at the last pay-per-view, and that would have given her some cooling time. They could have kept her off television and dropped her right in.
At the Rumble.
Right in at the Rumble.
Number one. I would have had her come as the first entrant.
This is not rocket science. I keep saying this over and over again. Booking is not rocket science. The fans make it so hard to book. And you know what? Another hot
fans are unfortunately part of the problem, and they are part of the solution.
Right, they're part of the solution, but back in the day, and I hate Vince McMahon, and I really do. I never have liked Vince McMahon. I'm one of the people. I hated him before the rest of y'all did.
I like the fact that he never booked to the fans.
I hated him before the rest of y'all did. But the thing about it is, one thing that Vince McMahon would do religiously is stick to his program. This is how this is going to go. This is when this person's going to go over. This is when I'm going to move them. And it was stuck. He wrote a program out. It was stuck in stone. These days, we need to get Roxanne up to the main. But I want her to be NXT champion for 1 billion years. Okay, we'll make her NXT champion for 1 billion years. And then all of a sudden, everybody wakes up one day and says, "Shit, the Royal Rumble's in 2 weeks. Get the title off of them." That's how we arrive at this.
It's simple, and this is the weird thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is also a fact. AEW have also done the exact same thing.
Exact same thing.
And I'll give you the best example known to man. Every single time Orange Cassidy won a championship.
That's exactly it.
Wrong. And they held on too bloody long.
Yeah.
Fletch asked a great question. It kind of goes back to what I said earlier on. He said, "Do you think Lashley should get the tag titles with Shelton or go for a singles title?" I know I said before that Shelton should win the TNT title. I said that a few months ago. I still stand by that. But after what they did last night, the Private Party are finished. Give the belts to these two. Give the belts to them. I really, really do. And yes, I would add Ricochet to the Syndicate. I would. I don't think they need a lot.
Yeah,
they only need three. They only need 3 talents and a manager. That's it.
And sort of to piggyback, Chris dropped a comment over there, said Stephanie and Giulia won't be on NXT. They're going to the main roster. No, they're not. Giulia is going to be staying on NXT until she gets her head out of her ass and learns how to wrestle the WWE style. That's it.
Stephanie Vaquero can just wrestle effortlessly in any blend, so she's already geared to go.
Yeah. Stephanie Vaquero can wrestle a broomstick. She's fine. But Giulia, as much as everybody doesn't see it, I see that stardom in her, and until they beat that stardom out of her, she's going to be in NXT for a very long time because that ain't going anywhere.
It's a shame that they're going to take that out of her because she does wrestle brilliantly at that, and this is the problem when I said on Raw, like if you let talent, regardless of where they work, if you let them work what they can do, but you give the talent the opportunity to still accommodate your methods, and you have that, you've got the perfect blend. It's pro wrestling at its finest. Steph Vaquero is way better than Giulia, but she's fighting for the mid title on the development. I I know.
But here's the
But
deal.
it's short for her. It's short for her.
Here's the deal. Here's the problem with both. Here's the problem with both companies, and I'm going to lay it all out there in a nutshell.
Can I ruin Christopher first?
Yeah.
I hate to say this, Christopher. I used to like her because I used to think she was decent. Then I went off her. Julia is going to lose the NXT Women's title at Deadline to Cora Jade.
She's going to lose it to, at least here's what I think. She's going to lose it to Jordynne Grace because Jordynne Grace is going to have to come through developmental too. They're going to make Jordynne Grace come through developmental. I mean, they may debut her. They may pop her out here for the Rumble again, but they're going to run her back. They're going to run her back to NXT. But the thing about it is that here's what's wrong with both companies in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. Somebody needs to set Triple H down and say, look, give these people the finish.
Yes.
And let them go out there and make the magic. Get rid of all these fucking producers. Get rid of all this stuff. Let them wrestle. Let them do what they know to do.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what wins.
Just give them agents to advise them, but not completely ruin them.
Right. Okay, AEW, your favorites ain't got to be on every damn day, Tony. That's what's wrong with both companies right now in a nutshell. And that's not stating anything that's not an observable fact. The reason
it's not degrading either.
Yeah, it's not degrading. The reason Julia is not going to be on the main roster anytime soon is because she still has the desire to put 3 women simultaneously through a table. Yeah. And that ain't going to fly in the women's division. She did that in a match one time. Put 3 women simultaneously through a table. And that just ain't going to work for their viewership. So
I'm going to say this. I think this is one of the few matches, Christopher, that WWE will not authorize. No. I actually think they will not authorize Julia versus Asuka because of what company Julia came from.
Right.
There's no way in hell that Asuka's going to wrestle another Stardom talent.
Right. That's not going to happen. And I don't think Asuka's going to wrestle anymore. I think she's done. They're just paying her to keep her from going to AEW.
I agree with these ones, though. Like, I agree with Io Sky versus Stephanie Barker, and I agree with Io versus Julia, but Asuka versus any of these, no, because of Stardom and what Stardom was born from.
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever get those two together. But the big part of it is I think we've seen the last of Asuka in the ring. I'm going to say that. I think we've seen the last of her.
Here's a comment that came in not too long ago, and I want to get there's 2 comments. One of them was from Fletch. He said, I was even thinking Darby would win the casino gauntlet, dethrone Moxley, and then Jay would go after Darby since he got a feet injury. I think if you brought him back after what happened at the end of the year, you've ruined his injury angle because it's too fast. I wouldn't have had him in this gauntlet. I think he would have killed Darby in that way. But it was one of Catherine's comments I want to bring up.
Okay.
Hobbs losing to Mox will not be a big deal. I disagree.
Yeah, see, I disagree because he's there too early and he's underexposed. That's my only problem with Hobbs is I've seen him 3 times in 3 months. And now all of a sudden he's in a world title program. What the fuck?
I know.
I mean, this is a lose-lose situation for Hobbs. If he doesn't win, then he goes to the back of the line. If he does win, what the hell do you do with a Hobbs title run? I mean, this is...
Christian Cage should cash in on him. That's the only thing. If he wins, then put the title straight on Christian Cage.
That's exactly what I think would happen. But then what are they doing for... I mean, I get that Tony might be a little frustrated that Rhea Ripley signed back with WWE because I always had a thing in the back of my mind. This whole Grand Slam Australia thing was, we're going to get Rhea Ripley. That was because every time one thing Starks makes comment about that's actually factual is every big show that Tony Khan has done like that had a corresponding athlete to it.
Yeah, there isn't anyone they realistically have that's Australian. But I mean, Buddy, to be fair, is Australian, but you're not going to put Buddy in the big match.
Yeah, Tony's Australian. Tony Storm is Australian. She is.
True, but she's not going to main event.
That's just it. I gotta believe he put this Grand Slam show together. It's kind of like a little mini twerk for Rhea Ripley, talking about you come over here and you can headline this thing right now. I give you $4 million first year, $1 million every other year, and you show up and headline this thing. He would have sold the place out.
Great point, though. You've got Kyle Fletcher, because Fletcher just mentioned about that.
Yes. What's
this Omega angle? Is he the one to dethrone Takeshita? Also, what title does Fletcher get? Australia Grand Slam's around the corner. I'm going to say straight away, the Omega angle, for me, this is his redemption year, and he is going to go through all the top talent, show that he is the best in the company, because he believes that still. He's the best they have. And by the end of the year, he's walking out world champion. Right. Is he to dethrone Takeshita? No. I don't think he is, but he should still lose. I think he should still lose to him on this run because it adds layers to his redemption arc. But I think he should lose to Takeshita, but Takeshita should unify 2 titles against Okada, because then I think you have to get rid of that Continental Classic title with the. I mean, Okada's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, but I think Takeshita should unify those 2 titles together.
Let's see. I would, because see, if we're gonna do a brand split, the world champion can travel.
World champion, the women's world champion should travel across both shows.
I mean, the men's world champion, the women's world champion, and the world tag team champion should travel between shows. But that Continental title right there could be also the top guy title for one show. The TNT title could be the top guy one for one show, and then we gotta come up with something to be opposite of the TBS title, and you've got your brand split right there. You created one title, and you've got a complete brand split. The champions travel, and they fight the people who are holding those titles. That's the only reason I don't want the Continental title to go away, because then you'd have to just create another title.
But the reason why I had them both is, so you've got him, say Takeshita won them both. So the TNT champion, unfortunately, right now is Daniel Garcia. So you stick him on Dynamite, but you have him lose the title.
Please.
But what you could have for Collision is Takeshita. You could theoretically have Collision as the champion for international title, unify with the Continental Classic. The Continental Classic just becomes the winner gets the world title shot at All In. I would do it for that. I would do it for it becomes an All In or the World's End main event. But then you just have the Continental Classic unify with the international title into one, and you keep them exclusively to other shows. The tag champs, the main women's world champion, the main men's world champion, they do both shows. I like it like that. I don't think a brand split's ever going to happen with Fletch, but that's what I would do. I don't like. I just like I like the fact the Continental Classic is on Okada, but I want it to. I want it just to be one bigger title, as one together. I think they don't need 3 mid-card titles, but that's just my take on it. For me,
go ahead.
What tells you put Dynamite, TNT title, and then have the TNT title is the only exclusive. The rest is just whatever comes across. The TBS title should be exclusive to Collision.
So yes,
and the international one equivalent.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I keep jumping in here. My bad. I forgot all about.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. You can carry on. You're fine. Carry on.
Okay, you're right. We have the international title, so yeah, the Continental title can go away. You have the international title on one show. You have the TNT title on another show. Then you have the TBS title on Collision. And you have the women's international title on. There you go. And you can have the international titles opposite of each other that way.
Yeah.
And then you have the television titles opposite each other. And then your world champion, your tag team champion, your female champion travel, and that's it. And you've got a brand split because they're going to need to form an identity.
They do.
And that's something else that they're missing as well. WWE got a head start on it. Now they're getting ready to fuck it all up, but that's neither here nor there. AEW could probably deal with a solid identity where you could say that's a Collision guy or that's a Dynamite guy, and I like Collision better than I do Dynamite. We don't have that discourse yet.
Yeah.
We just basically have a couple of opposite name shows with equal opportunity and equal outcomes. And that gets stale after a while.
There's your immediate response. Fletch likes it, and he says he would put it. He would put it on Willow.
Mm-hmm.
Great shout. Yeah. I would say. I think there's, bias. I would put the first title on Deonna Purrazzo, but that's just pure bias. But if I'm looking at names, I would say Statlander, Willow, Purrazzo, or an outside mention. I suggest she should have won the world title a long time ago, but since then she's just been doing other stuff. I'd say Serena Deeb.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's a good mid-card worker and she does work really well, but it's just that opportunity. I'm not sure. Fletcher also said he always thought Takeshita's dethroned talent is Fletcher when Takeshita turns babyface, but he needs to improve the mic work. Is it just me? But I love Takeshita, but I think Takeshita would suck as a babyface. I think when
actually, I've seen him work as a babyface. No, it wouldn't. He's funny.
I mean, so have I. So have I. But I think his heel work is just incredible.
His heel work is off the chain, but if they had to flip him, I mean, the closest I would do him would be tweener. I wouldn't get him all the way babyface. I'd have him tween for a little while, then go right back to being a heel. But his babyface stuff was hilarious in a really different kind of Japanese way, and that's It was funny in a Japanese way. If you appreciate Japanese culture and things like that, it's hilarious as hell. But if you don't have a starting point, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it did lead into that, which is really good. I just prefer his heel work. I mean, I love Japanese culture, but I just love the way he is as a heel. Like, he's a heel that you instantly buy into because he doesn't stop. Don't you dare stop! Don't you dare stop! He did ask this though. What is your thoughts on the New Japan commentary during Omega versus Gabe Kidd with the suspension?
Well, we saw how that worked out.
Yeah. What is your take on this? I thought my reaction was I thought he was trying to sell an angle, and ironically, Kenny Omega did do the same thing in his Wrestle Dynasty backstage when he was like, he said in an interview to Tokyo Sports, he wants to see the guys that left New Japan go back, from New Japan who went to AEW to go back, so he can see the current AEW talent versus New Japan with the guys that they had, like with the guys like Omega, Jay White, and all that, Okada, and you can see who wins AEW versus New Japan strength to strength. I think Charlton was trying to do that. It's just it went maybe a little bit too far. Like it could have been a great war, and to an extent, like a booking war. New Japan versus AEW in that way would have been interesting because how Kenny Omega pitched it is really good. It's just that it didn't come across that way on commentary.
I'm going to say the best part to come out of this, and this is insider information, so, this is absolute insider information here. Mm-hmm. The best part to come out of that segment is New Japan talent can't drink while they're working the mic anymore. They cut off the alcohol for it. There's a reason for that. I kept thinking to myself, Walker's a big dude. He can drink 4 or 5 drinks and absorb them during the course of a show.
Which is mad.
I can drink 4 or 5 drinks and absorb them during the course of a show. That little skinny tea biscuit right there, you're lucky that's all that came out of his mouth. I mean, you're really okay. None of that was a work. It was mostly a shoot, and it was off script. It wasn't even part of the script. The only person allowed to talk shit about AEW right now is Gabe Kidd, who actually works with AEW.
Yes.
Tony Khan blessed him saying what he says about AEW to draw some stuff. And I felt so bad for him. I felt like they gave him a bottle of liquor and a script and told him to go out there, and it just went off the rails. And
as a Rock fan, I'm loving this comment.
Exactly. That's the whole thing too.
That's comment of the night for me.
And I believe in my heart of hearts that was calling back to that segment. I really do, because Dwayne's not stupid. But insider information says that going forward, the commentary talent, Japanese and American, are prohibited from drinking while working.
Yeah. And I agree to that one. He does give me Conor McGregor vibes, except Gabe Kidd is a much better human being. Also, to answer your question, Fletch, about Penta being replaced for Hulk Hogan, anyone being replaced for Hulk Hogan needs to quit a company, because Hulk Hogan should not be taking anyone's spot, especially Pentagon Jr.
Have you heard the news? They're doubling down on that now. Hulk's going to come back as a heel since you booed him. Way to go, guys. You should have said nothing. If you just said nothing, he wouldn't be back. But no, everybody just had to get their boo on. Now he's going to come back as a heel.
Oh, that's insulting. That's insulting.
I mean,
she wants to build herself up as a belt collector. That's why she won those titles. Although, to be fair, it's not really the ones that she needed, even though they are good titles. She's not going to win the Casino Gauntlet. Don't worry. She's not winning.
No,
she's not.
No.
She's not going to. I didn't actually like those comments. AEW is here trying to help them, not like WWE that don't give a fuck about them. AEW put New Japan on the USA map and Europe. Most extent, yeah, they did. The problem is, people forget where, like, there was actual elements where New Japan were built on the map because the NWA and WCW. But then there were some late 90s that didn't work well for them. They made bad decisions. New Japan themselves made bad decisions.
Yeah.
They got a reprieve in the 2000s because TNA asked to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can go back and watch like AJ Styles 2005 versus Hiroshi Tanahashi is one of the best matches of 2005.
Yeah.
It's quality.
Yeah, Dwayne.
It's just their partnership went wrong in 2011 when they badly used Okada. But the weird thing is, they badly used Okada, and then they single-handedly created the Rainmaker gimmick from it. Like, because of his work there, which is crazy. They fucked up that partnership, but they put him with the guy who inspired his gimmick.
Mm-hmm. But as far as that whole thing went, one thing I do know is they get a list of they get a sheet. They get a sheet for commentary because they don't have all the monitors and everything else. They get a sheet for commentary. God, I hope he's not on tonight. Yeah, I'm doing a watch along for that show.
A good question. That's a good question, Fletch. I wouldn't know. I'm hoping not. I know he's on Collision because he's up against Dax Harwood. I'll be watching TNA because I'm watching Santana's doing the Glory Gauntlet match. He's going up against all three members tonight.
Yeah, I wish I'd have done that show. I wish I'd have done that show personally.
I think that's going to be great.
But no, I mean, they get a script, and in the script, they tell them what's going to happen. You know, during the whole match, Kid's going to work from minute 1 to minute 6. He's going to drop a shoot promo in the middle of this part. I mean, they've literally got it scripted out that way.
Exactly.
So, yeah, this is why you shouldn't drink, be 112 pounds soaking wet, and do commentary all night long, because it doesn't work out well. It just doesn't work out well.
Agreed.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. Fletch has made some more great comments. Also, I just want, before I come back to that question, he did say I want stat on the main title picture. Yes, I do as well. Can you put his YouTube channel link on the channel for Matthew? Absolutely. It's this. I'm just going to put it on, but I'm also going to grab his link. 1 second. I'll go and grab it from YouTube.
Okay, I appreciate that.
No problem. I mean, to be fair,
I am going to have to scoot. Yeah, I'm going to have to scoot here in a minute because I've got.
I'm wrapping up in just a few as well. He did make a great couple of comments that we can close on, but to be fair, this week has been a decent week for wrestling, so let it continue. I accept NXT. I don't know, but he says I haven't seen NXT, but apparently Dwayne showed up and called it the fan base. I don't know what he did, But I agree with the comments. He should have went after Eddie Ford. It would have made more sense. So I don't know why they didn't. I don't know why they didn't do that. You know, it's freaking pointless.
And the answer to that next question is no. Ricky Starks is so far under the doghouse. He's about 9 miles deep under the doghouse right now. Ricky Starks will, if he shows up on AEW television, it'll be sweeping the floors. I'm not kidding. Yeah, I'm seriously not kidding. He'll be a floor sweeper and a bathroom cleaner. That's the only time you'll see him on AEW television. I appreciate that.
There's the official link, guys. There you go. That's the proper link to Matthew's channel.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do. I really do. But yeah, Ricky Starks, and I'm surprised. See, here is where everybody says Tony Khan's a dickhead, but he's still going to let him be on Hog. Meanwhile, dumbass from Toilet Bowl up there does nothing but spend his entire day dedicated to making fun of Tony Khan, but Tony Khan's going to let him wrestle Hog. I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but we'll see how it plays out. I don't think it's a good idea, but
fuck knows. Matthew, it's been a pleasure having you. Just before you go, please do share your channel, and also what have you got coming up on your channel in terms of content? What have you got coming up?
I got a Ring of Honor watch along tonight. I'm skipping SmackDown because I don't do. I'm giving WWE about 2 months to breathe because they've wasted all their goodwill with me. I can watch the show.
Does that include the likes of the Royal Rumble? Does that include them?
I'll be doing PLEs, and that'll be it. And then I'm definitely doing I'm doing Collision in New Japan Saturday. Going to be doing the big New Japan 2-day again because you know what? I'm a masochist and I enjoy staying up and doing that. So you might as well say it that way, guy. It was like almost 11 hours of wrestling in 2 days. I mean, come on, get real. I mean, we had to be masochistic to watch that whole thing. Mm-hmm. So I'll be doing that one. And then after that, I mean, basically if there's a New Japan or AEW, Ring of Honor, Stardom, something like that, I'll probably be pretty close to it. That's where I'm going to be. So that's what I'm doing.
I'm tweaking mine up. So the only things I'm pretty much not going to review on here, I might review the odd pay-per-view, but I'm not going to review NXT TV and Ring of Honor TV. I don't really Ring of Honor Club. I don't review, but like Raw, Dynamite, Collision, TNA. All that, like SmackDown, I'll continue to do the pay-per-views. The only thing this year I'm absolutely boycotting on the channel, so I'm just telling this everyone in advance, I am not going to review or preview any Saudi shows this year.
No, me either. I'm done with Saudi.
It's nothing against the country. It's nothing against that. I'm sick and tired of the blood money shows because they treat them like they take the piss for them. Like they take the piss because they just treat them like a house show. And I've had enough.
I tell you what, I would review a Saudi show on one condition.
Mm-hmm.
If the men had to wrestle neck to foot in bodysuits, then I'd review the shit out of that because there would be so many botches in that thing. It would be hilarious.
Yeah, it would.
So I mean, that's the whole thing about it. If the men had to wrestle in a full bodysuit from the neck to their feet, then I would review it because you know damn good and well it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, I'll review the other international shows. Depending on which ones are there this year, I'll review them. But the Saudi stuff, I'm just at the point now where I'm just sick and tired of it all, and they treat it like a house show. And if you're going to treat an international event like that like a house show, regardless of where they are, then what's the freaking point? So I'm staying out of it. I'm staying away.
Yeah, see, my main thing is if the women have to dress up and completely cover up, then the men should have to as well. That's just some zesty shit to me right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange things around that, which makes no sense.
Oh yeah,
I'm not a fan of it, but they've had some decent matches on there. But you know that they're going to use these every time now just to bring out a Goldberg, and I've got no more time for him trying to kill other talent. So I'm out.
And I'm long since done. I'm long since done with the ghost pepper necklace. So I don't cover any bloodline stuff anymore either. I'm over it. I'm way over it.
Good
I
for
call it
you.
the ghost pepper necklace. I don't even call it anything else. That's what it looks like, a necklace full of ghost peppers. You know.
That's a good idea. And
So,
I can absolutely answer this one for you. It's because they chose Hogan, and also Steve Austin doesn't particularly care about the rest of them.
no, the other reason Steve Austin wasn't there is because Vince McMahon is not in the company, and Austin is a McMahon guy. It doesn't matter if he had illegal carnal communication with the entire female population of the world. That doesn't matter to Stone Cold.
My buddy Billy said the exact same thing on the Raw premiere review, and he said the same thing in a group chat with him. It doesn't matter who's there. It will always be Vince McMahon is the only one he'll show up for.
Yeah, Vince is the only guy he'll show up for. And here's the reason why for that, too. Because he did Vince dirty over that Brock Lesnar thing, and he made Vince a promise that from then on, if Vince needed him, he'd work.
Yeah.
And that's it. So he's keeping his word to Vince, but he didn't make that promise with Trips. So, yeah, that's why he ain't there.
True. Another thing as well, to an extent, I do agree with this. A face-off between Stone Cold and MJF would cook. Because the one thing is, MJF would struggle to keep up. So
yes,
he would have to change his game, which would be very interesting. Someone who can change the game is worth it. If you can,
I'd be there for that. I'd be there for that too. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just the same. I'm just agreeing. I would just say same.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing there. But anyway, I got to roll because I got to get ready. I got to be online by 7:00, and that's in an hour and a half. So
yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. 2 hours and 40 minutes, and you'll be on more. I guarantee it. So thank you, and also here's to more. So, ladies and gentlemen,
we got to get the Will Ospreay in there too.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a fan of professional wrestling, but you like a different approach to how a show is produced, or just the way a show is discussed and talked about in a watch-along format, Graps TV, go and check that out. The links in the channel, in the stream. If you like a different variety of conversation that's different from mine, go and check out Covalent TV as well. That's another option. Or check out the Mid Podcast, because Catherine likes to give it a Tony Khan. But
that one too, yes.
But if you like a combination of all of them, gaming streams and a bit of fun, then wait for Ailey, because she's coming back hopefully this weekend, because I've missed speaking to Ailey. But also the Weekly Steel Chair, that's where we're at. And also thank you all. You've all been great, likes of Fletch, Matthew, Catherine, James, Christopher. Thank you for tuning in again as well. Like, it's good to see the run is continuing since the start of the year, when we've changed the way the things going forward. This is the Weekly Steel Chair, and we say good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.